Part 41. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 409. Edogawa Ward is the easternmost special ward of Tokyo's 23 wards. Compared to the Shinjuku area where the Gain skating rink is located, this area is a bit more remote. Early in the morning, Kurosawa Hikaru took the train and arrived at Shin-Ozaki Station. Edogawa. After getting off the train, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at the surrounding environment and felt a little fresh. Because of the surname Edogawa, he was more impressed, and he attributed it to a certain Shinigami elementary school student. And it was his first time coming to this area. He came to Tokyo to go to university, and basically lived a 2.1-line life. If he's not involved in school activities, he's working part-time as a tutor. He used to rarely go to places like Shinjuku and Shibuya, let alone the relatively remote Edogawa district. After sighing with emotion, Kurosawa Hikaru was just about to take out his mobile phone to contact him, but he caught a glimpse of a white figure from the corner of his eye. Not far away, he saw a beautiful girl carrying a shoulder bag walking towards him. Even though the station is a place with a relatively high flow of people, her presence still stands out from the crowd. Even if there is a huge crowd, you can still find her at a glance. As usual, Miki Baiha was still wearing a white dress, looking very elegant. Kurosawa-senpai, good morning. Soon, Miki Baiha came closer, waved gently, and said hello with a smile. Good morning. Kurosawa Hikaru saw the slight smile on her lips and nodded slightly. Different from keeping a distance before, after talking about it last night, Miki Baiha's attitude was no longer avoiding him, but the same as before. You came so early, it's only 9:10. Miki Baiha couldn't help but said as he was looking at his phone just now. Compared to you, it's still late. Kurosawa Hikaru disagreed and looked down at her. If there is enough time, he will leave early. Just like his first date with Chizuru, he arrived at the meeting place early and was waiting. Because it was his first date with Miki Shiraha, and the meeting place was Edogawa district, which he had never been to before, so he set off early, but this schoolgirl arrived before him and was waiting for him. The skating rink doesn't open until 10 o'clock. It's less than 10 minutes away from here. There's still a lot of time. Have you had breakfast, senior? Although Miki Baiha was in a good mood after meeting him in advance, he was also a little troubled. Not yet. Then let's go get something to eat first. After hearing this answer, Miki Baiha suggested. Okay, I've never been here before. Do you have any recommendations for a breakfast restaurant? Kurosawa smiled and looked at her. In fact, he had already had breakfast. During this period of time, he basically makes breakfast by himself, because breakfast does not need to be too particular. It is very simple to make, as long as it can fill his stomach. Having said that, he could see that Miki Baiha was very distressed, probably because he didn't know how to arrange the time before the skating rink opened. There is a breakfast shop, which I think is quite delicious, right near the skating rink. The trouble was solved, and Miki Baiha immediately thought of a place to go. Then let's go. Kurosawa followed her wishes. Instead of being in a daze at the station, he had a direction. Miki Baiha nodded, took the lead and started to lead the way. It's so cute. Following her footsteps, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her back a few steps ahead and couldn't help but think. Maybe it was because he was basically the one planning and leading the arrangements for the previous dates. Like this, it was quite refreshing for him to have Miki Baiha consider the place. The most important thing is that from Miki Baiha's words and eyes, he can feel that she wants to give him a good experience. Senior, go this way. Miki Baiha, who was walking in front, was very active and careful in guiding him. In order to prevent him from going wrong, he showed him the way. Aren't you a road addict? Can you still recognize the road? Seeing her pointing the way, Kurosawa Hikaru found it quite amusing, and joked in surprise. If he remembered correctly, this schoolgirl also had the attributes of a roadie. We met him by chance in Shibuya before. In order to avoid him, this schoolgirl accidentally ran into an alley. I'm actually not a road addict. It's just that when I go somewhere for the first time, I sometimes get lost. Miki Bayu was very reluctant to admit this name. Yes. Kurosawa Hikaru saw that she didn't like this title and didn't want to argue with her. I'm serious. No matter where it is, as long as I have been there a few times, I will know the way. Because his response was a bit perfunctory, Miki Bayu suddenly became anxious and turned around to say, "Then how many times will it take you to recognize the way?" 3 times, 5 times. Then you're pretty good at knowing your way around. Hikaru Kurosawa is a bit strange. From this point of view, Miki-senpai is not a complete road idiot, at least, she cannot be as outrageous as Zoro. It's normal to think about it. For the sake of drama, comic characters usually exaggerate a person's characteristics, making it easier to create conflicts and highlights. In real life, even if you are a wanderlust, you can always recognize the way as long as you have been to a place a few times. Miki Bayu looked up at him, always feeling that he was speaking sarcastically, but he had no words to retort if he wanted to. Although she is not a complete road addict, her ability to recognize roads is indeed worse than the average person. There's no way around it, because she's not good at observing her surroundings. She usually decides to go somewhere and just goes there, without being distracted by strange things halfway. Angry. Because she didn't answer, but kept walking forward, Kurosawa Hikaru quickened his pace and walked to her side, walking side by side with her, turning his head to look at her expression. No. Miki Bayu shook her head. How could she get angry so easily? She was just depressed about her shortcomings. Kurosawa-senpai, your speed skating skills are so great, have you ever practiced before? After thinking about it, she realized that she had been misunderstood by remaining silent. After thinking about it, she decided to change the topic. Because she had been watching Kurosawa-senpai from a distance, there were many questions accumulated in her heart. For example, speed skating. Kurosawa-senpai had a speed skating competition with his friends in Wiwan before, and his skills were really amazing. Although she did not practice speed skating, she was still involved in ice sports, so she could tell that the seniors' skating skills were far beyond the level of ordinary people, at least to the level that could participate in official competitions. I learned it when I was a kid. Kurosawa nodded. Although he knew that he did not have an experience card for the skill of skating, which was completely at the level of ordinary people, this schoolgirl had seen how it looked when skating, so it would be too false to insist that he had never learned it. Then have you ever learned figure skating? Miki Bayu was a little curious. The feeling Kurosawa-senpai gave her was really mysterious. Reading, photography, playing the piano, archery, and skating, I always feel that he is very versatile, there is nothing he can't do. No, I just tried it when I was playing with my friends. I was very bad at skating, far behind you. After thinking about it, Kurosawa shook his head. The skills brought to him by the state mission are entry-level skating and entry-level ballet. Although the combination of these two skills is figure skating. After all, the essence of figure skating is actually ice dancing, using the ice as the stage and adding gorgeous dance performances. I'm not very good at skating. Hearing his compliment, Miki Bayu shook his head and waved his hands. Aren't you good enough at skating? I've seen your competition videos. You can't lie to me. Kurosawa Hikaru found that she was quite modest and teased. It's really not good enough. The game videos you watch are of me before, not who I am now. Miki Bayu shook her head, her tone was very certain, and her soft and ethereal voice was raised several levels. Sensing her excitement, Kurosawa Hikaru paused. In front of him, Miki Bayu, who had always been gentle and well-behaved, was so excited. Obviously, his words stepped on her minefield. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been so loud, it's just that I'm not skating well enough right now." After a firm rebuttal, Mickey Bio saw his smile solidify, and immediately regretted it, and hurriedly bowed and apologized. "I only returned to the skating rink this year, and I am still recovering and retraining. During the years of high school, I have been studying and wasted for so long. Compared with my peers, my figure skating level has lagged far behind." In order to make up for this fault, she also made additions. As she said these words, she tightened her grip on her skirt, feeling extremely anxious and worried that he would be angry. "No need to apologize, it was me who made the first impression, it's not your fault." Seeing that she wanted to comfort herself, Kurosawa shook his head and comforted her. Although her voice was raised a few notches, what she said was not excessive. She was just emotionally excited, which was not a fault at all. "Sorry." Mickey Bio became even more frustrated when he heard what he said. The senior was finally willing to go on a date with her, but her performance was so poor. "It doesn't matter." Seeing that she was still discouraged, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and said, "When someone apologizes, say some words of understanding instead of accepting it calmly. Because when a person apologizes, it means she thinks she did something wrong. Even if you think she did nothing wrong, saying some comforting words that I understand will only make her feel that you are good, and the matter is not over." After hearing his answer, Mickey Bio raised his head and observed his expression before feeling relieved. Following this episode, the two people started walking again. It's not far from the station to the skating rink. Although the two of them walked slowly, they arrived in about 10 minutes. However, there was still more than half an hour before the opening time, and they walked into a breakfast shop. "Senior, do you eat so little?" When the clerk brought the breakfast, Mickey Bio was a little surprised when he saw his breakfast. "Isn't this enough?" Kurosawa Hikaru was a little puzzled. Although he had already had breakfast, in order to cooperate with Mickey Shiraya, he still ordered an egg roll and a miso soup. "Can these breakfasts support your energy consumption?" Mickey Bio nodded, very confused. Energy consumption. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't quite understand what she said. "You usually play the piano and practice archery. Aren't they both sports that consume a lot of physical strength and energy?" Once standing at the top of a field, Mickey Bio knew very well that Kurosawa-senpai was definitely like her in those corresponding fields, having put in unimaginable sweat and efforts. Because of this, Kurosawa-senpai's appetite was supposed to be huge, but in the end he only ate an egg roll, a bowl of soup, that's all, but it wasn't as much as she ate. "We'll be skating soon. Eating too much will affect your exercise. Leave some room for lunch." Realizing that she had the mindset of an athlete, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a moment and explained. "So that's how it is." Although Miki Shiraha felt that half an hour was enough to digest, she didn't comment much on his habit. Then, Kurosawa Hikaru took a fork, stabbed a piece of egg roll into his mouth, and began to chew. "How is it?" Miki Shiraha looked at him expectantly. "Delicious." Kurosawa Hikaru, who was eating normally, noticed her nervousness and concern, and smiled with bright eyes. Although the skill of acting was not obtained from Miki Shiraha's dating mission, but the skill of acting is very useful in social situations. Sorry, today's chapter has a few words because of diarrhea. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 410. Very good. Seeing his expression, Miki Bio breathed a sigh of relief and felt lucky. "Is this your first date with a boy?" Seeing her little happy reaction, Kurosawa Hikaru asked after thinking about it. "Well." Miki Bio did not answer directly, but fell into troubled meditation. "Is this a question worth thinking about?" Seeing her lowering her head, putting her hands under the table to support her thighs, and looking like she was thinking seriously, Kurosawa was a little surprised. If he guessed correctly, this schoolgirl should be dating a boy for the first time, and she had never seen other people on dates. Even if he had seen pigs running away, he would not be as nervous as he is now. After all, when a man and a woman are dating in public, it's actually just like that. No, it's just that I'm worried that I will say the wrong thing. Mickey Bio shook his head slightly, looked up at him opposite, and explained. If you say it's wrong, you're wrong. I don't know how to eat people, so don't be so nervous. Kurosawa Hikaru forked another piece of egg roll and put it into his mouth, trying not to look at her to avoid making her nervous. Sorry. Seeing him lowering his head to eat and no longer looking at himself, Mickey Bio thought he was unhappy and a little frustrated. Hearing her apology again, Kurosawa raised his head slightly and looked at her with his peripheral vision. For some reason, he always felt that there was a big difference between Miki-senpai and when they first met. When we met her for the first time in a camera store, she was very confident. What's more, even when I took the initiative to wait for him at the school gate, although I was shy, I was still very confident. This was obviously the case, but her performance today was particularly nervous. I have hurt her before and expressed my displeasure to her. Is she worried that I hate her? Kurosawa Hikaru didn't know this schoolgirl very well, so he could only make inferences based on his own perspective. In interpersonal relationships, the harm done to others is irreparable. It is easy for two people to reconcile, but it is impossible to return to the same situation. You have to be gentle with her. Upon noticing this, Kurosawa Hikaru thought about self-examination and must pay attention to good words and deeds. Kurosawa-senpai, what do you think constitutes a date? After being silent, Mickey Bio asked a question without knowing how to answer it. As a liberal arts student, she is particularly attentive to reviewing questions. Two people who like each other make an appointment in advance to meet somewhere. No matter what they are going to do, acting together is a date. Considering her nervousness, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a moment before responding. That's my first time. Mickey Bio confirmed the meaning of the question and gave a decisive answer this time. That's a real honor. It was his first time to discover her. Kurosawa Hikaru was not surprised, but he still smiled. We have a good impression of each other. Mickey Bio looked at his gentle smile and reviewed the question again. Suddenly he reacted, his heartbeat suddenly accelerated a little, and he couldn't help but raise his eyes to look at Kurosawa Hikaru opposite. Kurosawa-senpai said last night that today was a date. Does he have a crush on me? Kurosawa-senpai, can you explain your understanding of dating again? Thinking of this possibility, Mickey Bio hesitated and then summoned the courage to request. Kurosawa Hikaru gave her a confused look. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you clearly just now. Mickey Bio found that he felt strange, his face became hot, and he felt very embarrassed and guilty. Two people who have a crush on each other make an appointment in advance, and if they meet alone as promised, whether they go out to play or do something together, they are considered a date. Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her shy little expression and could roughly guess what she was thinking, so he responded in a different way. However, even if he changed his words, the core meaning remained the same, that is, they had a good impression of each other. This is the truth, he has a crush on Mickey Bio, maybe he is simply attracted by her beautiful appearance, or maybe it's because she is a good girl. But as the future said, there is nothing wrong with simply liking the looks. Hearing his explanation again, Mickey Bio nodded happily, with a very sweet thought. She didn't hear wrong, and she didn't think too much. Kurosawa-senpai may not have realized there was something wrong with what he said, but he had unintentionally exposed something. Kurosawa-senpai thinks that they are dating, which means he has a crush on her. Is it so cute? As she jumped for joy, Kurosawa Hikaru saw that her big light blue eyes seemed to be full of energy, and the corner of her mouth could not stop snickering. He was immediately amused and shook his head in amazement. Although he was flirting with this schoolgirl consciously and deliberately mentioned that they had a crush on each other, but this schoolgirl was too innocent to flirt with her easily. The feeling of dating a girl is very comfortable. Maybe boys would be happier if they played with boys, without having to worry too much and feeling more free. But when dating a girl, it's fun to worry about the other person's feelings. You just said you were studying in high school. Is the injury that serious? The purpose of dating is to get to know each other better. Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it and asked curiously. The extent of Miki Baiha's leg injury is not known to the world. Even if you search for Miki Shiraha's affairs online, the only news you can find is that she suffered a serious leg injury during personal training, not in public, and retired due to injury. If you think about it carefully, this junior sister is very talented. In the field of figure skating, she won various awards and crushed her peers. After retiring due to injury, Miki Shiraha studied hard and was admitted to the University of Tokyo. These two things, even if they are taken separately, are things worth being proud of for a lifetime. Actually, my leg injury is not that serious. It healed in a year. Talking about her own situation, Miki Shiraha, who was still secretly happy, looked down at her right leg covered by the long skirt at the knee, and explained. Then why didn't you return to the ice rink earlier? Even if he didn't have much contact and didn't know much, Kurosawa Hikaru could feel that she really liked figure skating. Calculating the time, Miki Shiraha should have been injured in her first year of high school. Because my mother thinks I can't support high-intensity training anymore, and it's meaningless to stick to figure skating. She's afraid that I'll get hurt again, so she forbids me to go back to the ice rink and asks me to study hard. Because it's him, Miki Shiraha didn't hide much about this matter. Normally, the real reason why she didn't go back to the ice rink can't be explained to the public. After all, if she is related to figure skating, she is still very famous. Did your mother make an agreement with you that after you get into Tokyo University, you will go back to the ice rink? Kurosawa Hikaru thought of a possibility. The goal of practicing figure skating again supported Miki Shiraha to study hard for countless days and nights and get into Tokyo University. Senior, how did you know? Miki Shiraha nodded subconsciously when she heard this speculation, and was extremely surprised. Only her family and her friends knew about this matter. Guessed, because I can feel that you like figure skating very much, and Tokyo University is not that easy to get into. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her surprised reaction, realized that he guessed right, and talked freely. If you don't have a dream goal as a motivation to support you, it is very difficult to get into the University of Tokyo. Senior Kurosawa, you are so accurate in judging people, so amazing. Realizing that he was guessing, Miki Baiu couldn't help but sigh and looked at him with some admiration. It was the same at the beginning. Even before they said many words, Senior Kurosawa saw at a glance that she was very honest with him. Before that, she was not aware of it. When others see your strengths and efforts, people will feel recognized, as if they suddenly met a confidant, which makes people happy physically and mentally. You are so easy to understand. For men, the admiring eyes of girls are the highest enjoyment. Even Kurosawa Hikaru has such a feeling, and the corners of his mouth can't help but rise. Perhaps Japanese girls have always been good at flattery and compliments, even evolved a set of winning moves for girls' social gatherings, which is a standard configuration of careful schemes. But Miki Baiu is very innocent and has a more sincere personality, so her compliments and admiration don't make people feel fake at all. Senior, what kind of coffee would you like to drink later? It would be better to bring a hot drink when skating. During the chat, Miki Shiraha took out his mobile phone to check the time and asked. Just like you. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't know much about coffee, and he would drink anything. Yeah. After getting his answer, Miki Shiraha pressed the reminder bell on the table, found the waiter, and ordered 2 coffees to take away. Many restaurants in Neon are a combination of Japanese and Western, which is also driven by modernization. Not long after, Kurosawa Hikaru and Miki Shiraha walked to the front desk. "This is coffee for 2 guests. The consumption this time is 2,180 yen. Here is the bill. Please take a look." The lady at the front desk waited for Miki Shiraha to come over and pushed the bag and a ticket in front of the two. "Okay." After getting this answer, Miki Shiraha lowered his head and opened his shoulder bag, and wanted to take out his wallet. "I'll pay the bill. I ate all the breakfast." Seeing this action, Kurosawa Hikaru, who had been aware of it, took out his wallet from his pocket. "Senior, do you remember what you said last time?" Miki Shiraha, who was taking out his wallet, suddenly turned his head when he heard this. Which sentence? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little puzzled. "When we went to the cafe, you said that you suggested to have a drink and you should pay the bill. This time, I suggested to have breakfast, so I will pay the bill." Miki Shiraha saw that he really forgot, and his attitude was very firm. "Okay, then you pay the bill." Kurosawa Hikaru remembered that there was still this matter, laughed dumbly, and respected her idea. Although it doesn't cost much to treat her to a cup of coffee, it doesn't matter how much money is, the AA system is good for both parties. A relationship can only last if there is no loss or debt, and courtesy is reciprocated. Citizen Plaza is the only toei skating rink in Tokyo. Although it is not as good as the Gain skating rink in terms of geographical location and architectural appearance, it is more cost-effective and more affordable. Because of this, at 9:55 in the morning, there were already more than a dozen people queuing. There are junior high school students, JK, and young mothers who bring their children to cultivate their hobbies. Most of them are girls. NA's ice skating is a very popular activity. With the promotion and publicity of the country and the active performance of various professional players, it is a very popular entertainment. Following the footsteps, Kurosawa Hikaru and Miki Bayu also arrived near the door. Their arrival attracted many glances and whispers. Kurosawa's hearing is very sensitive and he can hear their words clearly. "That man is so handsome. That girl is so beautiful, I always think she looks familiar. Are you an artist? Are you here to carry out artist activities? I didn't see the camera. Mom, are they a couple? Maybe so. And don't point at others." Because of the child's loud noise, the young mother bowed her head slightly and saluted Kurosawa to express her apology. When a man and a woman act together, it is easy for people to think of them as a couple. What's more, Kurosawa Hikaru and Miki Shiraha's looks are very eye-catching, and ordinary people will subconsciously think of them as lovers. Because the child of about 10 years old spoke louder, when Miki Bayu heard his words, he couldn't help but look up at Kurosawa Hikaru beside him, wanting to see his reaction. "I thought they would recognize you." In this regard, Kurosawa Hikaru had no intention of clarifying, but whispered. "What?" Miki Bayu was attracted by his words. "There is a girl who thinks you look familiar, but she doesn't recognize you." Kurosawa Hikaru just heard a girl say she looked familiar. He thought the answer was about to come out, but he never expected this result. "Can you hear what they said?" When Miki Bayu heard this, he looked at everyone in front of them who were still 4 or 5 meters apart, and was surprised. As she got closer, she could feel everyone's gazes and see those people whispering, but the distance was still far away and she didn't know what everyone was talking about and could only hear some small sounds. The only words that were heard clearly were that of a child who was wondering if they were a couple. Having said that, she didn't really care because she dressed and behaved normally and wasn't afraid of being looked at or commented on. In response to this question, Kurosawa Hikaru nodded. "I'm not a well-known artist, so it's normal for people not to recognize me." Miki Bayu didn't expect his hearing to be so good, so he was a little surprised and explained. Perhaps the star figure skater is extremely well known among the people in Neon, but after all, she has been retired for a few years. She was still very young at the time and could not be recognized by anyone when she went out. Most people experience skating in their daily lives. Only those who are more interested will pay attention to figure skating related players and competitions. I have a friend who is from Hokkaido. He said that you are a well-known superstar in Hokkaido. It was the boy who competed with me in speed skating. It was through his introduction that I learned that you are so well known. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't think so. If he understood correctly, Miki Shiraha was more famous than many well-known artists at the beginning. Recalling what happened that day, he was very emotional. Although he knew from Yuta Miyazaki's words and the date mission that Miki Shiraha should be able to figure skate, he didn't expect to be that good. It's really amazing to suddenly discover through someone else's mouth that someone you know is so powerful. It gives people a mysterious sense of superiority. In terms of popularity, seniors are the ones. Seeing his expression and tone, Miki Bayu could understand his mood, and immediately smiled happily. That day at the Tokyo Bunkakaikan, she suddenly discovered that Kurosawa Senpai was 0 hour, and she was really shocked. The piano master who performed the bell on stage and amazed the audience turned out to be her senior. If this matter were known to the alumni of Tokyo University, it would definitely be a sensation. Senior, the door is open. At this moment, Miki Bayu noticed movement at the entrance of the venue and reminded him. I saw it. Kurosawa Hikaru realized that she was a little impatient and smiled. Enter the museum and buy a ticket. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't bring his own equipment, so he had to rent it. This venue is very cheap, with tickets and skate rentals costing only 820 yen. In most situations, men always move faster. After changing his skates and putting on the hard plastic protective cover for walking on the ground, Kurosawa arrived at the outside of the ice rink. However, he did not rush into the venue, but stood outside and waited. When dating a girl, you need to be patient. As the saying goes, you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry, and good things come in a long way. The more time you give girls to prepare, they may have a better experience. Of course, there is a limit to everything, and it is not good if you wait too long and wear out your patience. Kurosawa Senpai. After waiting for a while, Kurosawa Hikaru heard an ethereal and melodious female voice. Hearing this voice, Kurosawa Hikaru looked back and saw the arrival of Miki Shiryu. With just one glance, his eyes were caught. Different from her usual white dress, at this time she was wearing a purple and black costume, supplemented by sequins. She looked sparkling, gorgeous and outstanding, like a noble swan. Maybe she was going to be doing figure skating next, so Miki Shiraya's naturally falling white hair was tied up, adding a bit of mature charm to her. Her slender arms are also wearing arm-length black sleeves. The color is lighter than costume's main color of black. It's like wearing stockings on her hands, but it doesn't look vulgar, but adds a bit of charm. Fenya is very different. Kurosawa Hikaru had seen this kind of attire before at the Weian skating rink. The fundamental reason that attracted his attention was Miki Bayu's demeanor. The nervous and timid eyes on that beautiful face are fascinating and even more stunning. It is difficult to describe her beauty in words. This moment, this feeling, this scene, can be called a stunning moment of time. Sorry for the waiting. When Miki Bayu saw him, his reaction seemed to be one of surprise. His timid and nervous emotions swept away, replaced by happiness, and he walked forward step by step. Many times, eyes touch people's hearts more than words. Because the eyes are the windows to the soul, eyes cannot deceive. Why didn't you put on your skates? When she came to the side, Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at her holding skates in one hand and a roll mat in the other, and couldn't help but run down. Different from the skates he rented, the skates in Miki Shiraha's hands were particularly beautiful in terms of lines, color, size, and shape, and even the shape of the skates. The key is that she put on a pair of opaque flesh-colored stockings under the skirt that covered the upper side of her knees, took off her dad's shoes, and stepped on a pair of slippers. Maybe the D number of the stockings is high, but the toes are still a little bit fleshy, and the toes are looming, which is very eye-catching for Kurosawa Hikaru, a foot master. I have to warm up fully before skating. It's not convenient to put on skates first. Miki Bayu didn't notice his gaze, but when he noticed, he explained. Is it because of a leg injury? Kurosawa glanced at her right knee. Because the flesh was very thick, no trace of leg injury could be seen. Uh-huh. Miki Bayu nodded affirmatively. Let's warm up first, let me see how you do it, and I'll learn from you. It's still early, so Kurosawa Hikaru is not in a hurry to enter the rink. The key is to put her health first. Good. Miki Bayu nodded slightly, and then put his skates in the corner. No matter what kind of sport it is, the warm-up actions are the same. The purpose of warm-up is to stretch the muscles and bones to warm up the body first, so as to avoid sudden and intense exercise during exercise, which may cause muscle cramps. Following her movements, Kurosawa Hikaru was wearing skates, but after all he was wearing hard plastic, so he started to warm up without hesitation. Start by simply moving your arms, stretching your waist, and then pressing your legs. Perhaps because of the flexibility involved, knowledge about ballet came to Kurosawa's mind, and the experience card began to play a role. Kurosawa-senpai, even if you are done warming up like this, I have to do a few more sets. Please wait a moment. Leading him to warm up, Miki Bayu did a few sets and then said. Good. Kurosawa nodded. After saying that, Miki Bayu took the yoga mat next to him and spread it out on the ground. Immediately afterwards, she took off her shoes and stood on the yoga mat, slowly separated her legs in front of and back, kept pressing her body down, and did a vertical split horse. Wow! Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised when he saw her action, stretching her two beautiful legs very long. I have to say that the first time I saw someone doing a trick was very shocking. After all, Miki-senpai is a ballet dancer, and her body's softness is no joke. Miki Bayu, who was still warming up, heard his praise and raised his eyes to look at him, his face felt a little hot. With this reaction, does he think I'm awesome? This is just the simplest vertical crossed horse. After maintaining it for 20 seconds, Miki Bayu changed his posture and became a cross-crossed horse. Ba bang bang. Seeing this, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but applaud. Kurosawa-senpai, this is a warm-up, not a performance. When Miki Bayu heard his applause, he couldn't hold back any longer and looked at him weakly. Then I won't say anything. Although she did not express her dissatisfaction clearly, Kurosawa Hikaru found that she was not used to this and immediately became honest. After finishing the two moves, her face was a little red. She stood up and walked to the fence at the edge of the ice rink. She stood firm with support, then stood on one foot with her left leg and raised her right leg backwards. Her right leg continued to climb, and after reaching a certain height, she grabbed her ankle with her hands and slowly lifted it up. Kurosawa Hikaru, who was standing nearby, was stunned when he saw her warm-up actions like this, and said in his heart, you. The movement of raising the legs back is like bending about to shoot at a wolf, or like a full moon, elegant and beautiful. In fact, Xiaoyuki's body is also very flexible and can perform a variety of difficult movements. She can also catch a horse with ease. But compared with Miki Bayu, a professional dancer, she is still far behind. This is normal. Xiaoyuki only started practicing yoga and fitness last year, and Miki has been practicing ballet since she was a child. Alright. Soon, Miki Bayu adapted and lowered his right leg. Don't you need to lift your left leg? Because of her grand beauty, her movements of hands and feet are all pleasing to the eye, and Kurosawa Hikaru hasn't seen enough yet. No, There are more warm-up exercises for the legs. The left leg is enough. After Mickey Bayu warmed up with these difficult movements, his body felt a little warm and he shook his head. What's your last move called? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little curious and concerned. His ballet is an experience card, only ability, no theoretical knowledge or experience, and no previous research on dance. Dance pose, also known as standing bow pose, is one of the movements in yoga, but it can also be used in figure skating. Finding that he was particularly concerned about this action, Mickey Bayu explained. Is it a yoga move? Kurosawa nodded. I wonder if Yuki-chan can do this gesture. In view of the inspiration from this incident, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but secretly thought in his heart. Xiao Yuki is a beginner in dance, but she is quite experienced in yoga and fitness. The warm-up is over. Wait for me to change my skates. Mickey Bayu nodded slightly, took his skates, walked to the yoga mat, sat down, and started to change shoes. I don't know what her foot size is, it looks like it's a little smaller than Yuki-chan. Is it 35.5? Seeing her putting on shoes, Kurosawa's eyes were attracted. The biggest difference between humans and animals is that when encountering new and unknown things, they will have strong curiosity and desire for knowledge, not just fear and caution. In short, when boys meet a strange beauty, they will develop a thirst for knowledge. Soon, Mickey Bayu put on his skates, put a hard plastic protective cover on the skates, and planned to stand up. Let's go. Finally, when she was ready, Kurosawa Hikaru saw that he was already eager to try on the ice rink and stretched out his hand to her. Mickey Bayu has been practicing skating since he was a child. It is very easy to stand up. However, when she saw Kurosawa Hikaru's extended palm and looked up to see his face, she couldn't help but reach out her hand. The fingertips touched his palm, and he subconsciously reached forward to hold it tightly. Mickey Bayu's heartstrings trembled, and a strange feeling arose in his heart. Holding her weak and boneless little hand, Kurosawa Hikaru felt strange in his heart, but he still pulled her up. Thanks. Pulled by him to stand up, Mickey Bayu was very grateful for his thoughtfulness. You're welcome. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head and wanted to take back his hand. However, when he wanted to pull his hand back, he couldn't take it back. Realizing this, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at Miki Shiryu, only to find that she had her head lowered, and she was holding his hand tightly, a little shyly, as if she had a hard time shaking hands and didn't want to let go. The number of words in yesterday's chapter was a bit short, so I wrote a little more today, and I will try to write more in the future. Also recommend, my whitest guy's new book Part-Time Artist. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 411. Handshake and holding hands are very similar, only the angles are different. After subconsciously holding hands tightly, Shiraha Miki quickly reacted, felt ashamed, and wanted to let go. Even if she had been looking forward to holding hands with Senior Kurosawa, her behavior was too direct, right? However, just as she was about to pull her hand back, she was caught. When she looked up again, she saw Senior Kurosawa turned his head and took her hand and walked away. What? What is this? Being pulled away by him, Shiraha Miki subconsciously followed his steps, looking at his back and the back of his head, a little confused. But then, her heartbeat accelerated uncontrollably, and her delicate and fair face flushed. In fact, not only boys would desire physical contact with girls, girls would also have similar ideas. You said you wanted to be my girlfriend yesterday, so directly and boldly, but you are so easily shy. Hikaru Kurosawa walked in front, slightly tilted his head and saw her blushing face with his peripheral vision, and couldn't help but smile. Boldness and shyness are actually not contradictory. Boldness is courage, shyness is embarrassment. When he came to the edge of the ice rink, Kurosawa Hikaru stopped, looked at the hard plastic protective cover under his feet, and looked back. Faced with this situation, Miki Shiraha had to let go of his hand. Then, the two stood at the entrance of the ice rink, holding the fence, raised one foot sideways, removed the hard plastic protective cover on the ground, and then threw it to the side where it would not block the road. In fact, ice skates are divided into flower skates, ball skates, and speed skates according to different sports categories. The ice blade of the flower skate is wider, with a groove in the middle, and the blade body has a larger arc, which is convenient for completing small radius turns and realizing various complex footwork. Although the upper limit is higher, the lower limit is also high, which can meet the entertainment of most people on the ice. Before, Kurosawa Hikaru and his group went to the Gain skating rink to rent ice skates, all of which were flower skates, even when speed skating. The moment Kurosawa Hikaru put on his skates, the skating experience card skill had already been activated. Standing on the ice, he felt like walking on flat ground, and even felt more graceful and stable than standing on the ground. How do you usually play? Stepping onto the ice rink, Kurosawa Hikaru stood steadily and asked. Although he had a skating skill experience card, Miki Bayu definitely knew the skating rink better than him. Skate for a while to get a feel for it, and then start daily training. Miki Bayu, who also walked onto the ice rink, answered obediently because his shyness had not completely subsided. For you, training is playing. Playing figure skating is a process of learning and training. If you skate without a purpose, you will be confused. Indeed, it feels good to learn a new move. Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and soon understood what she meant. Thinking carefully, they had been on multiple dates before, and when a group of people were playing on the skating rink, although everyone interacted a lot, they were basically learning how to use skates and developing more moves. Every kind of skating method, even standing still and bending over, will make people feel full of accomplishment. Yet, finding that he could understand, Miki Shiraha immediately forgot about being shy and nodded happily. Then let's find the feeling first. Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her smile and suggested starting. Unlike her usual casual clothes, Miki Shiraha, wearing a coat, looked particularly stunning when she smiled, as if she was shining. Yet, Miki Shiraha nodded slightly, and then began to skate. Her speed was very slow, just alternating between her left and right legs, skating like walking. But even with such a simple movement, she gave people an extremely amazing feeling. She seemed to have been living on the ice all the time, and the smooth skating was natural. Seeing this scene, Kurosawa Hikaru also followed her steps and walked with her. Skating is similar to swimming. For ordinary people, it is completely contrary to the innate land walking, another form of exercise. That's why most people who want to skate usually have to spend time to find the feeling. However, Miki Shiraha and Kurosawa Hikaru were too familiar with skating. They found the feeling after just 2 steps. Kurosawa-senpai, your technique is really good. Miki Shiraha turned around and looked at him, who looked good even when he was skating casually, and couldn't help saying. In fact, she didn't dare to say one thing, that is, your body proportions and manners are too good. Without complicated steps, with that outstanding appearance and skillful techniques, Kurosawa-senpai's posture on the ice is simply fairy-like. This is still wearing rented adult ice skates. If he dressed up and wore customized matching ice skates, how handsome Kurosawa-senpai would be, she couldn't imagine. Can you see the technique like this? Kurosawa Hikaru watched her skating posture from a close distance and was caught by her performance. Perhaps because she has been practicing dancing since she was a child, Miki-senpai has a good temperament and figure. Whether the figure is good or not, you can't just look at the parts, but the whole. Miki-sensei has a very thin and delicate figure, giving people an extremely light feeling. On the ice, she gives people the feeling that she is not skating at all, but more like flying. Of course, just like playing the piano, the difference between a novice and a master can be clearly seen when doing the same thing. Sanmyo Shiraha nodded slightly and said affirmatively. Indeed. Kurosawa Hikaru looked around and looked at Sanmyo Shiraha again, agreeing very much. At this time, the ice was already a bit lively. Maybe it was Monday, but during the summer vacation, there was no restriction or saying on which day of the week it was. That's right, because of the time of changing clothes, warming up, and chatting, there were already more than 20 people on the ice. Among them, there were quite a few young girls, and the number of boys was relatively small. Regardless of their appearance, several girls could be seen as novices at a glance. Because they were already tense even to keep their bodies completely stable, and it was impossible for them to skate gracefully and smoothly like Sanmyo Jr.'s sister. Why are you looking at me and nodding? Originally, Sanmyo Shiraha wanted to praise him, but he praised him back with his eyes, which made him feel a little embarrassed. Is there anyone else who has the best skills in the whole venue besides you? My current skills are not good. A lean camel is bigger than a horse. I'm not a camel. Then what are you? I don't know. The elf on ice. Don't mention this nickname. The two chatted while skating. As they entered the venue, they caught everyone's attention for a while. You know, figure skating is just like dancing, and the requirements for appearance are extremely strict. This appearance is not just about the face, but also about the figure. Whether it is Kurosawa Hikaru or Miki Shiraha, their appearance conditions are too superior, and even their looks are handsome men and beautiful women. Because of this, even if they don't have gorgeous moves and show superb skills, just skating casually on the ice is already a big kill and amazing. Originally, everyone was skating on their own. After all, this is a sport that requires a lot of concentration, and you will fall if you are not careful. But at this moment, everyone's attention was attracted uncontrollably as if they had encountered a magnet. I remember, she's Miki. Just now at the gate, I felt that the girl looked familiar. When I saw Miki Bai wearing a coat and putting her hair up, I immediately remembered her. Miki. Her friends had no idea about this name. She used to be very famous, known as the Hokkaido figure skating princess. She had 3 unique features: technique, talent, and looks. When I was a child in a figure skating training class, the teacher played her competition video for everyone to watch and learn. So amazing. What about that guy? Do you know who he is? He also looks very good at skating, and his aura is different. Girls are not that interested in girls. In fact, the opposite sex is the most attractive existence, not much less than gold, silver, and treasures. If gold, silver, and treasures are more attractive, then it can only be that the opposite sex is not good enough. Then I don't know, maybe she is also a professional player. The girl who recognized Miki Bai was actually quite curious, but after seeing her appearance clearly, she still shook her head. Athletes are different from celebrities. If they want to enter the vision of ordinary people, they must win the championship of phenomenal competitions, such as the Olympics and Asian Games. Even more, even if an athlete wins the Olympic championship, others may not know you. Although this skating rink is more affordable, the area of the venue is still smaller than that of the Gain skating rink. Skating around the rink, Miki Shiraha would occasionally make some moves to adapt to the various moves of figure skating. It's so beautiful. What is this move? Seeing her elegant and graceful moves, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but admire. It has to be said that watching Miki Shiraha's figure skating is really a visual enjoyment. This is the swallow style skating. Miki Shiraha heard his praise and responded happily. The feeling of being seen and recognized by the people you care about for your skills will give people a special sense of satisfaction. In fact, People live in this world and are looking for two things throughout their lives. One is a sense of value, and the other is a sense of belonging. The sense of value comes from being affirmed. A man will die for his confidant, and a woman will dress up for the man who pleases her. This is a similar mentality. He wants his own value to be affirmed and wants to be praised by him. Is this the swallow style? Why is it different from what I learned? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised when he heard this answer. What kind of style did you learn? Miki Shiraha was a little curious. In response to this question, Kurosawa Hikaru followed the movements that Yamamoto Daiki had done before and did a swallow-style skate. Your is a non-supported swallow-style step, and I just did a sword-lifting swallow-style step. There are many kinds of swallow-style steps, which can be regarded as advanced differences. Miki Shiraha explained after watching his performance. I see, I thought he didn't do it standardly. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't know much about the doorway, and he seemed to have some enlightenment. When he dated Miki Shiraha, the skills he got were skating and ballet. Although he can skate and should be able to dance ballet, he doesn't have much theoretical knowledge before the experience card becomes permanent. If he is interested in figure skating, I am afraid that even if he completes the date task, he must practice and learn for a period of time. Because the two skills of skating and ballet are combined to become figure skating, in other words, he just got the ticket to figure skating. Who is he? Miki Baiha was a little curious about who his figure skating teacher was. This is the guy who competed with me in speed skating before. Kurosawa didn't name it, just a brief summary. Oh, hasn't he always insisted on figure skating? Miki Baiha had some impression of this person. After all, he had seen Kurosawa-senpai's speed skating competition with others in the outer garden that day. He's not here. If you have anything to say, you can just say it. When Kurosawa Hikaru heard this, he probably understood her subtext. The swallow step means that the player uses one side of the blade to glide on the ice, and raises the floating leg above the hip, so that he can be as elegant and graceful as a swallow. What he did was not very standard, and it was a little bit worse. Miki Baiha nodded slightly, and after a rigorous explanation, he expressed his opinion. Is it difficult to be like him? It's still difficult, because it's easy to lose balance when gliding on one leg, and you have to raise your floating leg. How long did it take you to learn? I'll know it after reading it once. Oh. Why don't you compliment me on my talent? Kurosawa Hikaru originally thought that he would be pretty good as soon as he learned it, but seeing her mediocre reaction, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. In the field of figure skating, the unsupported swallow is an entry-level move for novices. If the seniors are so good at skating, it is normal for them to learn it. Miki Baiha is well aware of how powerful his skills are, and is not surprised by this. Then is it difficult for you to do the swallow step with a knife? What do you think, senior? Miki Baiha did not respond, but asked instead. It should be quite difficult, just teach me a few moves that are difficult to see at a glance. After I learn them, I can open up that guy's eyes next time. Facing her expectant gaze, Kurosawa Hikaru recalled her action of spreading her legs to the side and raising the knife across her neck. He laughed dumbly and asked for advice. Okay. Upon hearing his request, Miki Baiha did not shirk, but nodded happily. Miki-sensei, what should I do next? I found that she seemed to be looking forward to the teaching session, and Kurosawa Hikaru quickly entered the scene. Take my hand and raise your legs behind your back first to see how flexible you are. Seeing his serious look, Miki Baiha also plucked up the courage to say. She is really looking forward to the teaching session, because under normal circumstances, figure skating should avoid physical contact with people as much as possible. Like now, she has a reasonable excuse to have physical contact with her senior. Good. Hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at the hand she extended and shook it again. I'll take you to slide slowly, don't be anxious, Stabilize your center of gravity first and then float your legs. Holding his hand again, Mickey Bio's heartstrings rippled, and the corners of his mouth couldn't stop rising. Skating hand in hand with Kurosawa Senpai has appeared in her dreams a long time ago since she confirmed her love for him. Now, it can be said that it is a dream come true. As she slid back, Kurosawa Hikaru held her Kinkinsu hand and was led by her to slide forward, and the system's voice sounded in his ears. Mission progress update, let her hold your hand and skate together has been achieved. Realizing this, Kurosawa Hikaru lowered his eyes and looked at Miki Shireo's soft and delicate lips. Because if he remembered correctly, his date mission with Mickey Bio only had one mission goal left, so it was considered completed. The final mission goal is let her kiss your face. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 412. In the relationship between men and women, whether two people are friends or lovers depends on one thing, and that is intimate contact. It is not as simple as physical contact, such as touching the arm inadvertently, trying every means to facilitate a handshake through various occasions, etc. Although it is ambiguous and heartwarming, it is nothing more than that. If you want to become a couple, you don't have to confess your love to make it happen. You can also rely on the behavior of lovers. Holding hands and walking together can also be done by friends, even friends of the opposite sex. The same goes for hugging. Although it is a relatively intimate contact, it also falls into the category that friends can do. And kissing on the face is more than a friend, but not a lover, just a line of intimate contact. Maybe in some Western countries there is a kissing ceremony, but in the East there is no such etiquette. Kiss on the face. Kurosawa Hikaru faced the last mission target and looked at Miki Shireo, who was holding his hand and planning to teach him the sword-raising swallow style. Kissing on the face is actually nothing. No matter whether it is a man or a woman, there will not be much loss. But the progression of relationships between people is the most common, from holding hands to hugging, from kissing on the face to kissing on the mouth, and gradually progresses. A good date must have a suitable stage, an interesting experience, a special emotion that is different from the usual, and actual relationship progress, in order to become a memory worth recalling. The stage is the skating rink, the experience is holding hands and skating together, and the emotion is surprise. His relationship with Miki Bio has to move from a normal relationship between classmates and friends to a relationship between lovers. There is only one last step left, and that is progress. Kurosawa Senpai, please feel free to lift your legs, I will support you. As Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it, Miki Shirabo found that he had not moved all the time, thinking that he was not used to being held by someone to skate, so he promised. Good. Hearing her considerate words, Kurosawa Hikaru came back to his senses and nodded. The next moment, he was no longer distracted and raised his floating legs behind him. Take it easy. Seeing him move, Miki Bio's heartstrings tightened, and she stabilized her body and prepared to support him. This is the first time teaching, so there can be no mistakes. Senior, don't strain yourself. Immediately afterwards, Miki Bio saw his right leg constantly lifting, higher than his hip, and reminded him. The so-called hip is actually the connection between the trunk and the legs. Normally, even people without any dance foundation can easily lift their legs back over the hips. But if you want to go higher, it is not something that ordinary people can do. Trying hastily without laying a good foundation in advance can easily cause hip strain. I feel very relaxed. I'll raise it a little higher. Kurosawa Hikaru felt that this level was more than enough. Then raise it a little higher. Miki Bio observed his condition and it was indeed not very strenuous, so he nodded. In figure skating, the Yan-style backstep has an obvious feature, that is, the floating leg is too high, which will cause the body to tilt. As she continued to try, Miki Bio suddenly discovered that Kurosawa Senpai's handsome face was slowly approaching her. This distance is not close, but in face-to-face situations, the feeling of constant proximity is very intuitive. The face is so close. His attention was completely attracted. Mickey Bio saw that he had not stopped yet, holding his hands with his palms facing up, his heartbeat racing uncontrollably. Originally holding hands, the physical distance between the two people was less than half a meter. As Kurosawa continued to lean forward, it had already shortened to 20 centimeters, the length of a ruler. Perhaps when the body is tilted, the height will continue to decrease, but the height difference between Kurosawa Hikaru and Miki Shiraha, at this angle, did not rush towards her chest, but in front of her. The face is so close. Because it was a teaching session, the postures were very special, and it was a difficult movement that required support. Miki Bio faced his face that was getting closer, even though she was embarrassed, she couldn't even distance herself. A faster heartbeat can sometimes make people's thinking more active or slower. At a distance of less than 10 centimeters, two people can even feel each other's breathing. Senior is really handsome. Although he had learned from the past that he was fascinated by what he saw and was disgusted by it, this was the first time for Miki Baiha to look at his face so close, and he couldn't help but be deeply attracted. Everything is relative. Miki Bio saw Kurosawa Hikaru's face getting closer and closer, and Kurosawa Hikaru was not the same. However, the two people's feelings are different. As the one who took the initiative to approach, Kurosawa Hikaru saw Miki Shiraya's beautiful and lovely face getting closer and closer as he kept raising his legs, and was gradually attracted to her. Seeing her skin as white as snow, her face flushed, and her face as shy as a peach blossom, Kurosawa's heartbeat suddenly accelerated and he couldn't help but step forward and kiss her cheek. So tender. Her cheeks were smooth, like jelly, and Kurosawa couldn't help but suck on them gently. Boo! The kiss was very light and the movement was very small. Although Miki Bio was supporting him and couldn't help but move, he knew what was happening. Miki Bio's beautiful eyes were stunned, and her face suddenly turned red, which was even more unbelievable. She really didn't expect that Kurosawa-senpai would kiss her. For a moment, she didn't know how to react, she just felt elated. Isn't this schoolgirl too fragrant? Taking the initiative to kiss her, Kurosawa Hikaru saw her shy and happy reaction, and was a little shocked when he recovered. Although he knew that Miki Shiraha was 19 years old, 1 year older than Xiaoyuki, he could also see that her skin was very delicate, probably due to her natural childishness, and she was the standard template for Shiroba. But the feeling of looking from a distance and looking up close are completely different. The kiss just now left him with a feeling that he still wanted to kiss her more. Miki Baiha was shy for a moment and didn't know how to respond to this matter, but when she raised her eyes and saw Kurosawa-senpai in front of her, she was stunned. I saw Kurosawa-senpai raising his floating leg from behind, even over his shoulder. The foot was like a scorpion's barb, hanging high. This height is terrifying. Unless you have practiced dancing and flexibility training since childhood, it is impossible to achieve it. Senior, is it okay to raise your legs so high? After being shocked, Miki Bio couldn't help but asked. Fine. Kurosawa Hikaru heard her concern, reacted, and put his legs down. In fact, he had experience cards for two skills, skating and ballet. He had just watched Miki Baiha perform the knife swallow step once, and he was already confident that he would be able to do it after trying it a few more times. He obviously knows how to skate, and he asked her to teach him how to skate, just to let the two of them interact more. If he was very good right from the start, then they would have to play their own roles today. Will it hurt? Seeing him regain his footing and distance himself, Miki Bio couldn't help but look at his hips, anxious and panicked. Her attention just now was completely attracted by Kurosawa-senpai's face that kept getting closer, and she didn't realize that behind his movements was the result of constantly raising his legs and tilting his body. As a teaching party, if she is injured due to her negligence, it will be troublesome. It won't hurt. After kissing her, she was still so worried. Even though Kurosawa was very thick-skinned, he was a little embarrassed. Does it really not hurt? Miki Bayu still felt unbelievable. Really, look at my movements, does it look like it hurts? Kurosawa Hikaru found that she still didn't believe it, so he just started sliding on the spot with big movements. It doesn't look like that. Miki Bayu felt relieved when he saw him lively and acting as if nothing was wrong. Kurosawa-senpai, why did you kiss me just now? Putting aside the worry of being injured, Miki Bayu raised his eyes and glanced at him. Recalling the kiss just now, he suddenly felt embarrassed, but he also plucked up the courage to ask. I can't explain clearly what the heart decides. Realizing that she could really ask questions, Kurosawa Hikaru paused for a few seconds before responding. This schoolgirl is obviously shy easily, but her honest character is really amazing. Whether I can be your third girlfriend or your fifth girlfriend, or this issue today, it is not something that ordinary people can talk about. What the heart decides? This answer was unexpected. Miki Bayu was surprised and confused. It's just that when I saw your face so close, I wanted to know what a kiss would feel like, so I couldn't help but kiss you. Faced with her doubtful gaze, Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it and then expressed his thoughts. In fact, he didn't know what he was thinking at the time. Maybe it's because Miki Bayu is too beautiful and cute, and as a young handsome guy, he can't control it. So what does it feel like to kiss me? Miki Bayu was still holding his hand with both hands facing up. Hearing these words, he felt elated, so happy that he flew up and asked again. Do you want to know? Finding that she was very satisfied with her answer, her smile was beautiful, and her eyes seemed to have light, Kurosawa Hikaru asked after thinking about it. Yes, I do. Miki Bayu nodded heavily. Maybe she didn't do anything just now, she was just kissed unexpectedly. But she knew very well that being unable to help herself was actually a sign of liking. It's like she likes Kurosawa-senpai and can't help but look at him and pay attention to his things uncontrollably. Then kiss me first. Kurosawa Hikaru did not answer directly, but made a request. May I? Miki Bayu was stunned for a moment, very surprised, and couldn't help but say. Kurosawa Hikaru, who originally thought of making her shy by making advances but retreating, couldn't help but be stunned when he saw her impatient reaction. Does she really want to kiss me? Certainly. Although he was surprised, Kurosawa Hikaru nodded after he said the words and splashed the water. After getting his consent, Miki Bayu looked at his handsome face. Without a moment's hesitation, he slid forward a little, closed the distance, stood up on tiptoes, stood up with the front end of the flower knife, and kissed him his cheek. Seeing her delicate and soft cherry lips and her beautiful face getting closer and closer, with a burst of fragrance and soft touch exploding on her face like a bomb, Kurosawa Hikaru's ears rang. System sounds. The mission goal "Let her kiss your face" has been achieved. Dating mission "A trip to the skating rink with Miki Shiraha" has been completed, and the rewards are entry-level skating and entry-level ballet, permanent. After many twists and turns and being shelved for a long time, this dating mission was finally completed. This dating mission is the one that Kurosawa Hikaru has delayed the longest. Because he has no procrastination and the system's tasks, whether the goals or the rewards are very clear, he will solve the tasks as soon as he encounters them. The skills rewarded by the system have changed from experience cards to permanent. In an instant, Kurosawa Hikaru's whole body has a strange feeling that he has not felt for a long time. In fact, after Kurosawa Hikaru's body has been strengthened many times, he may not have a special feeling when completing the task. It is mainly because the knowledge, theory and experience related to the skills will flood into his mind. But a professional ballet dancer has very good coordination and flexibility. Do you understand now? Although the mission reward was in hand, Kurosawa Hikaru was not in a hurry to absorb it. Seeing that the delicate lips of Miki Shiraha in front of him were gradually pulling away, he asked. Yeah. Mickey Shiraha pursed his lips tightly, and the smile arc at the corner of his mouth was about to bloom. It felt super good. Originally, she was very satisfied and happy to be able to date Kurosawa-senpai today. After all, she didn't even have the qualifications to be with Kurosawa-senpai before, and was blocked by the high wall erected by the fact that he had a girlfriend. As for now, whether it was holding hands just now or kissing like this, it was a pleasant surprise. That's good. Seeing her extremely happy reaction, Kurosawa Hikaru was also very happy. For boys, it's very happy when a girl kisses you, and it can even make people happy as if they are in heaven. As they interacted intimately on the ice rink, those who were skating freely on the ice rink were all looking sideways. It's great. A high school boy saw the scene and was envious to death. Although he didn't know who Miki Bayu was, he knew that she was a super beauty that was hard to see. For boys, having a girlfriend like this is simply a dream come true. Wow! There were many girls on the skating rink, and seeing this scene, it was just a visual feast. Girls are more eager for a beautiful and happy love than boys, which is why girls like to watch love dramas. The beauty of love is not only in the aftermath of the event, but also in the endless aftertaste afterwards. After the kiss, Miki Bayu's mood was difficult to calm down for a long time. She just felt that she was not satisfied, but she also knew that this was an ice skating rink and there were many people watching, so she couldn't continue. Senior, have you practiced dancing? Your flexibility is too strong. Miki Bayu was in a very happy mood, but she also thought of what happened just now. I have practiced. What kind of dance did you practice? Miki Bayu was very curious. Guess. Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it, but didn't tell her the answer directly. Street dance. Miki Bayu thought about it and soon found an answer. Street dance is a type of dance that young boys like more. No, Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head. Modern dance. Miki Bayu thought of another answer. Modern dance is usually choreographed for a certain kind of music. There is no completely fixed format, and the learning difficulty is not high, but it also requires body flexibility and coordination. Kurosawa-senpai is so good at piano and knows music so well, so it is not surprising that he learns modern dance. Ballet. After she answered wrong twice, Kurosawa Hikaru did not continue to keep her in suspense, shook his head and said the answer. It is interesting to ask people to guess a question once or twice, but it is boring if you ask them too many times. The answer was suddenly revealed, and Miki Bayu was stunned. She looked at him in disbelief, with a lot of question marks on her head. Although there are many types of dance, the two answers she guessed just now are both based on evidence. As for ballet, this is the answer she completely ruled out after thinking about it. Because ballet is extremely feminine and emphasizes soft dance, it is also one of the least chosen dances by boys. Perhaps in this world, there are many excellent male ballet dancers, even internationally famous, and they are not necessarily worse than female dancers. But it is really difficult for boys to learn ballet, and they will suffer unimaginable prejudice and strange eyes. Didn't expect it? Seeing her shocked look, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little amused. The reason why he asked her to guess was for this effect. To achieve the unexpected, you must first make people think. Senior, are you kidding me? Even if Miki Shiraha trusted him very much, he was still unbelievable at this moment. No, Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head. Then you can do ballet and ice skating, then can't you do figure skating? If you know these two, can you definitely do figure skating? That's not the case. Miki Shiraha thought about it and shook his head. Although figure skating has another name for ice ballet, knowing ballet and ice skating does not mean that you can definitely do figure skating. It's just that people who master both ballet and ice skating have more advantages in figure skating, and it is easier to get started and master it. Not many people know about this, so don't tell others. Kurosawa Hikaru smiled, put his index finger in front of his mouth, indicating to her that it was a secret. Maybe he got the skill of ballet, but he didn't plan to use it. Okay, why did you learn ballet? Mimu Shiraha nodded obediently when she heard this request, and she was curious. It was a coincidence and the result of the courage to try. I just practiced it, but I'm not very good at it. You don't want others to know, are you worried about being laughed at? Yes. Kurosawa Hikaru did not deny that as a man, he was quite averse to the skill of ballet. Then if others know about it in the future, you can say that you learned it for figure skating. Will you not be laughed at this way? Because all figure skaters practice ballet. Figure skating is the most spectacular Olympic event. It is a national sport in Japan and is very respected. Mimu Shiraha nodded and affirmed. There are many well-known male skaters in Japan's figure skating world. They have all learned ballet, but no one will laugh at them. When ballet meets skating and becomes ice ballet, the situation is not so embarrassing. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 413. Most talents actually have a foundation. For example, weightlifting, it is often easier for people with strong strength to get started. Take mathematics, for example. People who are born with strong logical thinking skills are like a duck in water when learning this aspect. Figure skating, for example, pays attention to finesse and complexity, gorgeousness and grace. People with a basic foundation in dance will find it easier to get started. Because the benefits of practicing dance are great. No matter what kind of dance it is, dance is conducive to cultivating temperament. In the process of learning, whether it is exercising flexibility or various non-daily body movements, it is beneficial to the physical fitness coordination. Following the kissing episode, Kurosawa Hikaru, guided by Miki Shiryu, completed the swallow step with the knife. Kurosawa senpai, have you really never learned figure skating? Seeing his sliding, Miki Bayu felt unbelievable. Although she has known for a long time that Kurosawa senpai is talented in both civil and martial arts. He is extremely good at piano and ba. But a figure skating novice can do the knife swallow step. Even though she is assisting him, this is still incredible. Am I acting like a veteran? He was always holding hands with her, and Kurosawa was a little surprised when he saw her expression. Based on this situation, is it better for him to deliberately show weakness and pretend to be a rookie? In fact, when dating, showing weakness in specific areas of the other person is a very practical skill. This is like a person who knows how to swim, but goes swimming with a boy he likes and pretends not to be able to swim. In the name of asking for advice, he can have reasonable physical contact. For example, right now, during the teaching session, he has been holding hands with Miki Bayu. Maybe this kind of contact is not that close, but it is better than not touching at all. That's not. Miki Bayu shook his head. In fact, although Kurosawa senpai is very good at skating, it is obvious that he knows very little about figure skating. What surprised her was that she could skate and ballet, but she had never learned figure skating, which was a bit strange. Because the two talents are so compatible, when combined together, they are ice ballet and figure skating. Teach me how to do it again, and I'll see if I can do it alone. Kurosawa Hikaru skipped the topic and suggested. Good. Miki Bayu saw that he wanted to try, and after thinking about it, he didn't stop him. Perhaps the knife swallow step is not a move that novices can master, but Kurosawa senpai's foundation is too solid. Putting aside the various figure skating moves, when it comes to skating alone, the senior's ability to move on the ice is not far behind hers. What's more, the senior also has dancing skills, so it won't be a problem to learn figure skating in a short time. How about you show me one more time? Once again assisting in completing the swallow step with the knife, Kurosawa carefully memorized every detail, let go of her hand, and asked. Learning while dating is actually a lot of fun. Because doing the same thing with others will make people enjoy it more, being with a beautiful person of the opposite sex is even more wonderful. Good. Seeing him withdraw his hand, Mickey Bayu glanced a few more times with some concern and pity. He also noticed his request and nodded slightly. Immediately afterwards, her feet swayed, and her slender and light body flew up like a feather, moving silkily on the ice. Bayu. Kurosawa Hikaru, who stopped in place, couldn't help but think when he saw her extremely silky and light figure. I have to say that this schoolgirl really lives up to her name. She looks like white feathers floating gently on the ice. Although he was sighing, his eyes were completely fixed on Mickey Bayu, watching her every move. Perhaps Mickey Shiraba was wearing costons, a more close-fitting and gorgeous uniform, and the skirt was not as long as usual, but she was wearing safety pants under the skirt. Although many men find safety pants one of the most uncomfortable inventions, the existence of safety pants is not all bad. Because of its existence, many girls can wear skirts on more occasions, which is also a benefit. In the blink of an eye, Mickey Bayu stepped on the pair of exquisite and gorgeous skates, slid 10 meters away, and suddenly stopped on his toes. Along with the transition from movement to stillness, her figure also attracted attention. Because her posture is so elegant, dreamy, and beautiful, more importantly, her stillness makes people look forward to what will happen next. While watching, Mickey Bayu turned to the right, then stepped on the gorgeous and exquisite pair of flower knife shoes under his feet, and started gliding. Finally, when she took action, Kurosawa Hikaru's eyes were completely attracted to her. Maybe it was because there was no music to accompany her, but she was so beautiful. She was so beautiful just by gliding. Sliding sideways, swinging his legs back and forth, and accelerating his fine footwork, Mickey Bayu raised his floating legs on his back, but like a swallow returning, he drew a beautiful arc on the ice and headed straight towards Kurosawa. Light comes. Is this the Yan-style step? Seeing this scene, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but be stunned. Because he had watched the video of Mickey Bayu's game, he was not unfamiliar with seeing this situation. Although this is true, the feeling of watching it through the screen on a mobile phone is completely different from seeing it in person. Graceful, light, and elegant, it was as if he saw a white feather flying in the wind. He was shocked when he saw Mickey Bayu's sword-raising swallow step. Perhaps the back is floating and the legs are raised high, and the left arm is bent back to grasp the slot of the flower knife. The difficulty of this action can be seen at a glance as long as you are not blind. But her figure was so beautiful, and her sparkling appearance made people feel that it was natural for her to do such an action. What makes people even more happy is that Kurosawa Hikaru can see Mickey Shiraya flying towards him, getting closer and closer. However, Mickey Bayu did not stay in front of him, but passed by him. The Yan-style step glides in an arc. Only in this way can it express its gracefulness to a greater extent. The fragrant wind blew past his face, and Kurosawa Hikaru's bangs were gently blown up, but his eyes followed him as if he was being sucked. This is a complete swallow step with a raised knife. After the arc slid away, Mickey Bayu quickly returned to Kurosawa Hikaru and said happily. Not only is it to show her excellent and powerful side to the people who care about her, but also because she has a feeling that this swallow step is one of her best performances since she retired due to injury. Let me try. Kurosawa Hikaru saw her happy look and was eager to give it a try. Be careful. If you feel like it's not working, just stabilize your center of gravity and take your time. Mickey Bayu nodded slightly, recalling his actions just now, and also reminded him. Good. Kurosawa nodded and then glided out. He imitated Mickey Bayu's movements and skated out in a straight line, reaching the center of the skating rink. When Kurosawa Hikaru hovered in the center of the ice rink, his appearance attracted everyone's attention. Because they had just watched Mickey Bayu's performance, and now another handsome guy came up to him, and his movements were so similar. Is it his turn? Are they competing? Or just having fun? Tsuyu is in front, and everyone is looking forward to his performance. Maybe it was because of being noticed, but Kurosawa Hikaru didn't care, because when he was in the Budokan, he had been bathed in more eyes and witnessed bigger scenes. Standing in the center of the skating rink, Kurosawa Hikaru turned his back to Miki Shiraiha, lowered his head and closed his eyes, recalling the scene just now. With the talent given by the master-level painting skills, his graphic memory has become extremely powerful. Although I haven't been able to forget it through photographic memory, if I look at it carefully, the impression will be very strong. This is also the reason why he lost the experience card of skating and ballet skills before, because of Yamamoto Daiki's demonstration, he was able to learn from each other. Even putting aside these two skills, the sense of center of gravity brought by surfing, the sense of whole body coordination brought by swimming, and the agility of the limbs brought by boxing and kicking, his overall physical fitness is too strong. After carefully recalling, adjusting his breathing rate, and being mentally prepared, Kurosawa turned sideways and glided away. Sliding away, accelerating with fine footwork, he turned his back and raised his legs high, then drew a beautiful arc and returned with a sword in hand. Wow! Standing in Kurosawa Hikaru's original position, Miki Shiraiha saw that he succeeded in just one try, and couldn't help but widen his eyes and exclaimed in amazement. The performance of the opposite sex is definitely far greater than that of the same sex in terms of attractiveness. Maybe there are many beautiful figure skating skaters and attract a lot of male viewers, but the handsome figure skating skaters also attract a similar number of female fans. And the charm of your sweetheart is far better than anything else. In just an instant, she, who originally liked Kurosawa Hikaru, was completely attracted to him. How about it? Kurosawa followed her steps and finally returned to her, looking forward to it. It's great. Senior, you is so awesome. It only took one time. Miki Bayu was extremely excited when he waited for his return. At this learning rate, she had a feeling that they would soon be able to skate freely. Was it considered a success just now? Seeing the happy look on her face, Kurosawa was stunned and immediately smiled. Of course it counts. Then let's learn other footwork. That's too fast, it's better to practice for a while. The biggest feature of figure skating is its variety. There are countless combinations depending on the choreography. Indeed. Kurosawa Hikaru had some realization. It is true that the skills he acquired through the system, once they become permanent, will reach a level that ordinary people can achieve after a lifetime of hard work. But in fact, he will also have empirical knowledge. Practice makes perfect and is universal for any talent. Even if you read a book and study, after you learn a certain theorem, you must master it by solving the questions skillfully. If you want to do something well, there is no upper limit to the number of times you can do it. Then let's go together. After giving up his ambitious thoughts, Kurosawa Hikaru asked. Miki Bayu nodded. Immediately afterwards, two more eye-catching figures appeared on the skating rink. They were doing the same thing, gliding together, chasing each other. Not long after, the time came to 11:30. It was approaching lunch, and even though it had only been open for more than an hour, many people had left. Maybe if you buy a ticket, you can play for a whole day, which is very affordable. But figure skating is actually a very tiring sport, because unlike simple skating, you need to try a variety of moves. The most important thing is that when you put on skates on the ice rink, there is no break. There are many entrances to the ice rink, and there is a yoga mat on the ground next to one of the entrances. Senior, you don't have to worry about me. You just learned so many moves, just keep skating. Miki Shiraiha was sitting on the yoga mat and felt a little embarrassed when he saw Kurosawa-senpai following him. Because of her health, her seniors were unable to continue playing. You need to rest, and I need to rest too. Kurosawa leaned against the fence and glanced at her. But you're not panting or sweating. That's what he said, but Mikibayo didn't see him looking tired at all. It's so cold in this rink, how can I sweat so easily? After hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru explained. All right. Seeing that he insisted on this statement, Mikibayo did not argue with him, but felt a little warm. Kurosawa-senpai's physical strength and endurance are very strong. Perhaps he is still in good condition even after studying intensively for an hour. Now that I'm following her, I just want to accompany her, and I don't want to focus on figure skating. Immediately afterwards, in order to relax and rest, Mikibayo held the figure skates with his hands, untied the shoelaces, shook it gently, and took out his feet. She placed her feet on the yoga mat. Because Kurosawa-senpai was beside her, she was embarrassed to use her hands to help relax, so she could only move her toes to relax. Following the small movements of her toes, Hikaru Kurosawa, who was standing by the fence, couldn't help but look sideways. Although he has always been a fan of black stockings, his silk stockings are actually pretty good looking. The most important thing is that even if the pantyhose she wears have a high D number and are not very transparent, the toes can still be vaguely seen at the toes. Her small toes, covered by the flesh, are vaguely visible, which is very attractive. Sexiness and temptation are never straightforward nudity, but mystery. Senior, how long do you plan to play at the skating rink? Mikibayo moved his toes, feeling a little strange. After hesitating for a while, he raised his head and asked. It was approaching noon, and she was a little worried that the senior would leave after lunch. This was a hard-earned date, and she wanted to stay with her senior for a while longer. I don't know either. It mainly depends on you. Kurosawa Hikaru saw the hope and nervousness in her eyes and said softly. Look at me. Mikibayo was a little puzzled. I'm here with you on a date today. I'll stay with you for as long as you want. Seeing that she didn't understand, Kurosawa smiled. Maybe his dating mission has been completed and the reward has been obtained. But in fact, the rewards from completing tasks are not just various skills. Whether it's the memories made with his date or the progress in his relationship, he enjoys it. He had already decided that he would go on a first date with this schoolgirl, so he had to make this date a success. Would this cause you any trouble? Facing his feelings, Mikibayo was happy but also felt guilty. Why would I cause trouble if I go on a date with you? Because there is a performance the day after tomorrow. You should be busy with a lot of work and prepare, right? I don't need to prepare too much. I just need to go to the office that day and rehearse in advance. Sensing her concerns, Kurosawa shook his head. Maybe there was a performance coming up, but a piano recital was different from a concert. He was the only one starring in it, and there was no team. As long as he can make sure the show is a success, it doesn't require much hustle. That's good. Mikibayo felt much relieved after hearing these words. In fact, she didn't expect today's date at all. Even if I came to visit, I wanted to be my third girlfriend, and later my fifth girlfriend. Even if Kurosawa-senpai agrees, she hopes to have a date as a couple, at least until after the performance. Will it hurt? After eliminating her worries, Kurosawa couldn't help but ask when he saw her gently pressing her hand on her right knee and rubbing it gently. A little bit. Actually it doesn't hurt very much, it's just a little different from not being injured. Realizing that he was very concerned about his actions, Mikibayo shook his head and explained. In the absence of injury, even if the legs are very tired, there is usually no pain unless it is overloaded. But after all, she had a leg injury, so it was inevitable that she would feel a little pain. Shall I rub it for you? I've learned massage. After discovering that she was really in pain, Kurosawa Hikaru volunteered. Mikibayo was stunned when he heard this, and then nodded. After receiving her consent, Kurosawa Hikaru took a few steps forward and knelt down in front of her without any hesitation. As he approached, Mickey Bio couldn't help but press the hem of her skirt with her hands. Although she was wearing safety pants and raising her legs in various ways on the ice, she didn't have to worry about being exposed. But now that she has taken off her skates, she is still shy out of instinct. Then, Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at her and asked with his eyes. In fact, when it comes to contacting girls, it is best to warn them in advance. Because of gender differences, girls usually avoid contact with the opposite sex as much as possible. What's more, legs and feet are more private parts than hands. Facing his inquiry, Mickey Bio nodded. Immediately, Kurosawa Hikaru, who was squatting beside her, reached out his right hand and gently pressed her knee, and started to rub it for her. Maybe it's because of the meat filament, but the feel is quite special, like the texture of nylon stockings. As he exerted more force, Mickey Bio suddenly groaned and shrank his body. Will it hurt? Then I'll go slower. Massage requires vigorous scraping along the acupuncture points and locations to be effective. Kurosawa Hikari, who had just started to exert force, noticed her reaction and immediately slowed down his movements. It won't hurt, just keep going. Mickey Bio shook his head, lowering his head and blushing in shame because of the sound he made just now. His voice was like a mosquito. She didn't feel any pain, she felt completely comfortable. She obviously rubbed her knees often, and even had her knees rubbed by a doctor, but Kurosawa-senpai gave her a completely different feeling. Those warm and gentle movements were not massaging her knees, they were completely tugging at her heartstrings. Good. Seeing her reaction, Kurosawa lightened up and continued. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 414. Your legs. Kurosawa rubbed her knees for a while, and suddenly spoke seriously. What's wrong? Mickey Bio felt a little nervous when he saw his solemn expression. Because of the injury, her legs are quite special. More beautiful than I expected. Kurosawa Hikaru squatted beside her, looked at her legs and feet, and then spoke after a while. Senior, don't make fun of my legs. Mickey Bio thought he was going to express some high opinions. When he heard this, he couldn't laugh or cry for a moment. He calmed down and whispered. I'm not kidding, your legs are indeed beautiful. They are beautiful legs. In this regard, Kurosawa Hikaru said seriously. This is the truth. Although Mickey Bio is relatively thin and petite, with a height of about 1.6 meters, which is not very high, Asian girls are about 1.6 meters tall, which is actually not short anymore. What's more, she practices ballet, has been figure skating since elementary school, and has a very good body proportion. Her thighs are plump and fleshy, and her calves are slender and soft. It may be due to the slimming effect of stockings, but it cannot hide the fact that she has a pair of beautiful legs. In fact, beautiful legs are not only defined by length, but also by skin, curves, proportions, health, naturalness. The most important thing is the face. Oh. Seeing his serious compliment, Mickey Bio nodded, feeling a little happy and secretly pleased. Schoolgirl. Realizing that she was overjoyed, Kurosawa paused and then solemnly shouted. What's wrong? In view of the precedent just now, Mickey Bio saw his serious expression again and was no longer so nervous and worried. Tell me honestly, does it feel a dull pain now? Does it feel obvious pain when jumping? Kurosawa put his hand on her right knee and looked her in the face. Because he is proficient in leg techniques and massage, he has a high level of understanding of legs and feet. Even by looking at other people's steps and movements, he can see the clues. Now when he touches it, he has the feeling of seeing through the surface and seeing the essence. Exactly like this, he felt during the rubbing process just now that Mickey Bayou's meniscus had suffered serious damage. As soon as these words came out, Mickey Bayou's expression changed and she looked at him in astonishment. Your knee is a little swollen when massaged, which is a sign that the meniscus is not complete. Seeing her expression, Kurosawa Hikaru also came to a conclusion. The so-called meniscus is the half-moon-shaped bone in the knee area. Its main function is to increase the stability of the joint and buffer shock. Under normal circumstances, most people will not have meniscus problems. Only people who do a lot of leg exercise will have problems. Perhaps figure skaters wear skates and move easily, unlike runners who will obviously accumulate fatigue. But a professional figure skater has extremely high requirements for jump training. Years of jumping, severe shock, and an accidental fall may directly cause irreversible rupture damage to the meniscus. Can you see this? Mickey Bayou realized that he couldn't hide it from him and smiled bitterly. She did have knee pain, and she was worried that it would cause more problems, so she took a rest. Otherwise, how could she be tired from skating? In the past, she could even stay at the skating rink for a whole day. When she got tired just resting on the edge of the ice rink. Every time you feel swelling and pain, what method do you use to relieve pain? Kurosawa Hikaru nodded slightly and asked again. Ice compress and massage for a while. Mickey Bayou answered his questions honestly and looked at him nervously, worried that he would leave early because of this incident, no longer accompany her to play in the skating rink, or even persuade her to give up skating. Don't apply ice in the future. Ice can only relieve pain and cool down. In the long run, the swelling problem will become more and more serious. The reason why your knees hurt is because the joints are partially damaged and the shock buffering force is insufficient. Jumping many times will cause pain. Significant damage accumulates and hence swelling. If the joints are swollen, hot compress on the outside and inside of the knee will reduce the swelling more easily. It is best to soak your feet in hot water every night and wear socks to sleep. Wear stockings more often to better protect your legs. I don't know much about medicines, so it would be better to see a doctor for a re-examination later. Kurosawa Hikaru was not surprised, he just rubbed her knees gently and gave suggestions. Senior, won't you stop me? Mickey Bayou saw him lowering his head to massage her seriously. Hearing these suggestions, he felt strange and asked after hesitation. Do you want me to stop it? Kurosawa Hikaru looked up at her. I don't know either. Mickey Bayou shook his head. She didn't know the answer to this either. To be honest, she really hoped that Kurosawa-senpai would be angry with her and feel sorry for her because of this matter, that was a sign of caring and liking. However, she doesn't want this to happen. For her, figure skating is absolutely unwilling to give up. Human beings are creatures that need a sense of belonging. Everyone is looking for the place that makes them most comfortable physically and mentally throughout their lives. Obviously, your only place of belonging is the skating rink. Seeing that she didn't know the answer and was very confused, Kurosawa guessed her little thoughts and expressed his opinion. Maybe it's because they haven't known each other for a long time, but maybe it's because like attracts each other, or maybe they just feel sympathy for each other. He once pursued his dream. He wanted to be admitted to the University of Tokyo, hold a diploma from the University of Tokyo, and live a completely different and happy life. He endured the boredom that ordinary people could not bear, and buried himself in books for more than 10 years. That's why he knew very well what Miki Shiraha was pursuing. Because there was an ideal life waiting for him, no matter how painful it was, no matter how much he wanted to give up, he had to stick to it anyway. My place of belonging is not just the skating rink, there is another one. Miki Shiraha, who was still a little confused, had a dazed look in his eyes, and then became clear in an instant. What else? Kurosawa Hikaru was patiently massaging her. This junior girl probably had never learned massage. When she massaged herself, she just massaged blindly, whatever was comfortable, all by luck, and accumulated some strain, so she had to help her push her muscles and bones. Be with you. Miki Shiraha looked at his handsome face, and her heart was throbbing. She liked Senior Kurosawa for a reason. Gentle and considerate personality, talented piano, handsome appearance, these are secondary. Good-looking skins are all the same, but interesting souls are rare. The reason why she made up her mind that day and asked, "Do you have a girlfriend?" which was similar to confession, was because she had an extremely strong feeling. Senior Kurosawa and she were of the same kind, and he understood her. That day, when Senior Kurosawa talked to her for a while and saw that her nature was extremely honest to herself, she was really shocked. At the Kyoto competition, she was also amazed by his handsome performance, but what really made her completely sink was his style of dealing with people. Because Senior Kurosawa's performance in the competition was too outstanding and shocked the audience was completely uninterested in the women's competition of the Kyoto competition. When they began to boo, he stood up and spoke for the female players. Every player has spent countless days and nights of hard work and persistence to stand on the national stage. It has nothing to do with the number of people or gender. Everyone gathers here because they love Kyoto. As an athlete, she has spent countless days and nights of hard work and persistence. When she heard these words, she was deeply touched and felt the same. It was at that moment that her love burst out completely. I want to be with him and spend my whole life with him. Is this a confession? Kurosawa Hikaru was stared at by her pair of light blue, loving eyes, and felt a little embarrassed. This was the first date, and there was such a passionate love, even he couldn't adapt to such a fast pace. To be more precise, before the date, Miki Bayu had already skipped the stage of cultivating feelings and confessed to him directly. She wanted to be his girlfriend, whether it was the third or fifth one. Okay. Miki Bayu nodded. Wait for me here for a while. Seeing that she really admitted it, Kurosawa Hikaru was speechless. He felt that the massage was almost done, so he stood up directly. After that, he didn't wait for a response, and started to move in his ice skates with hard plastic protective covers. As he left, Miki Bayu's eyes followed him like a shadow, hoping and excited. Although she didn't know what he was going to do, she was willing to wait for Senior Kurosawa. Not long after, Kurosawa Hikaru came back with 5 packages in his hand. Heat pack. Seeing the packaging of the things in his hand, Sanmyo Bayu was a little surprised. To warm your legs. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded, walked to her side and squatted again, and began to help her unpack. There are many heat pack products in Japan, because Japanese girls pay attention to the principle of wearing as little as possible all year round. Even in the winter, you can see girls wearing short skirts and walking around with bare legs. Aren't they afraid of freezing? They are all human beings, so they are definitely afraid of the cold. At this time, they rely on heat packs. Don't bend your knees, put them flat. Thank you. Sanmyo Bayu, who was obedient, saw him put a heat pack behind her knees and another one on her knees. A warm current surged in her heart and she was a little moved. Girls are creatures that are easily moved, especially when they feel a certain emotion. Maybe these 2 heat packs are not particularly valuable treasures, but compared with the value of gifts, the value of thoughts and actions is immeasurable. Here you go. After putting warm packs on the soles of her feet, Kurosawa Mitsuru unpacked the last one and handed it to her. Senior, don't you need it? Seeing the last warm pack, Miki Bayu didn't reach out directly, but looked at him in surprise. I'm not cold, you take it? Kurosawa Mitsuru shook his head. Maybe he had been off the court for a while, but his body was so strong that he didn't feel cold at all. Okay. Faced with his request, Miki Bayu could only reach out and take it obediently. Remember to tell me if it gets hot later. After successfully arming her, Kurosawa Mitsuru ran out for a turn, and also passed the stiff period of being confessed, and smiled. Yeah. Mickey Bio held the warm pack. Although it had just been unpacked and was still slowly heating up, the senior's concern made her whole body warm. I'm sorry, I asked you to take care of me like this. After being happy for a while, Mickey Bio felt sorry after calming down. She has never done anything for her senior, but she has done so much for her. Help her choose a camera, take her to the avenue when she is lost, treat her to afternoon tea and dessert, and now accompany her on a date, give her a massage, and buy her a warm baby. You did nothing wrong, no need to say sorry, in fact, I feel quite happy taking care of you. Kurosawa Hikaru, who was standing by the fence, smiled with his hands in his pockets. Happy. Hearing these words, Mickey Bio was stunned for a moment and was not aware of it. Happy. Kurosawa Hikaru nodded, sure of this. Maybe he had hurt her before and felt guilty and wanted to make up for her. He took care of Mickey Bio and did something for her. He was very happy. As long as people feel guilty, they will want to make amends. That's why he treated his girlfriends and tried his best to do something for them, hoping to make them happy. Alright. If Mickey Bio has some enlightenment, even though he doesn't understand it very well, it should be a good thing, right? It's really thin. Standing aside, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her well-behaved look and her legs, and couldn't help but think. Although both Xiaoyuki and Chizuru have beautiful legs, this schoolgirl may have a very elegant figure due to her ballet training in elementary school. Because of a leg injury, Mickey Bio needs a longer rest. After the rest was over, the staff of the skating rink cleared the ice and walked onto the rink to start replenishing the ice. Let's go eat something first, and then continue when you're full. After noticing this situation, Kurosawa Hikaru also said. Good. Mickey Bio, standing on the yoga mat, nodded slightly. The form of entertainment in figure skating is mostly a process of learning and repeated practice. In most fields, the learning stage when entering the field is endlessly enjoyable. Only after you really get started, and you have to endure more practice in order to advance to a higher level, will it become boring. Learning cannot be done without teachers and friends. Having teachers to lead the way and classmates to promote each other can effectively avoid such problems. At 6 o'clock in the evening, as the skating rink closed, many people left one after another. Sorry to keep you waiting. Mickey Bio, carrying a shoulder bag, jogged all the way to the door. It's okay, let's go have dinner. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head and smiled when he saw her changing back to her dress. Different from ordinary tourists, Mickey Bio is a professional figure skater. He carries a lot of things, which is relatively troublesome to pack up. In addition, it is normal for his movements to be slower due to changing clothes. After that, they walked side by side and strolled out of the skating rink. Along the way, Mickey Bio looked up and peeked at his handsome profile, feeling very sweet. Because after eating at noon, they spent the whole afternoon playing figure skating. Every time she skated for a long time, her leg injury affected her a little bit, and when she felt a dull pain, the seniors would take the trouble to massage her and help her warm the baby. It's still the evening rush hour. Let's go back after dinner, it's my first time in Edogawa district. Do you have any recommendations for delicious places? After walking for a while and gradually moving away from the skating rink, Kurosawa Hikaru asked. What do you like to eat, senior? Mickey Bio did not answer directly, but wanted to meet his needs and expectations first. There are so many things I like to eat that I can't answer, but if you ask me what I want to eat most right now, there is an answer. Seeing that she didn't answer the question, Kurosawa Hikaru pretended to be worried and said. Then what do you want to eat most now? Mickey Bio has a relatively simple mind and has little experience in love, so it is easy to be tricked and taken advantage of. After successfully attracting her attention and bringing the topic to an appropriate level, Kurosawa looked at her sideways and smiled without saying a word. What's the answer? Facing his gaze, Mickey Bio looked sideways, but found nothing, tilted his head, feeling confused. I most want to eat what you want to eat. Seeing that she didn't understand, Kurosawa simply revealed the answer, but seeing her expression he still didn't understand, so he could only add, "Oh." Mickey Bio nodded, and then began to think seriously. He must definitely think of a place where the seniors can eat happily. This is the difference between a girl and a royal sister. If it were Igarashi Runa, she would definitely understand it instantly. For dinner, they found a restaurant nearby and had a simple meal. After dinner, it was already 7:30. The two of them took the tram together and started on their way home. It was no longer the evening rush hour, and Kurosawa Hikaru and Miki Shiraha were sitting next to each other on the tram. What do you think of today's date? Kurosawa Hikaru sat with her, enjoying the sideways glances from others, and also asked. Well. When Mickey Bio heard this question, he immediately fell into distress. What's wrong? Seeing that she was still troubled, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little puzzled. Is this problem so difficult? I want to say I'm very happy, but that's not enough to express my happiness, so I'm wondering how to say it. Please give me some time. Faced with his concern, Mickey Bio explained and asked, please. Okay, think about it slowly. Finding her serious look quite cute, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled. It's a long way home, so there's no need to rush. Senior, I've thought of it. Please ask me again. After a while, Miki Shiraha finally finished thinking and asked. How do you feel about today's date? In response, Kurosawa Hikaru also patiently asked again. I want to do it again, and I want to keep doing it. Facing his question again, Miki Shiraha smiled. Hearing this answer, Kurosawa Hikaru's heartstrings were moved. He looked at her smile and his heartbeat accelerated. One more time, such an answer is indeed much better than being very happy. She wants to do it again, and so does he. It feels really good to date her at the skating rink today, and it's fun and happy. It makes people forget about time. In the blink of an eye, a day has passed. Tokyo's most affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 415. I'm at my stop. Goodbye, senior. As the tram moved forward, Mickey Baiha stood up, turned around and waved. Bye. I still want to take you home. Kurosawa Hikaru, who was about to follow him, stood up and felt a little confused. Don't bother me. I've walked so many times on my way home. I won't get lost. Mickey Baiha was stunned when he heard this, thinking that he was worried about himself, so he shied away. Although she really wanted to spend some time with her senior, she had troubled him too much today and received a lot of care, so she really felt bad about it. I'm not afraid that you will get lost. Get out of the car first and then talk. Kurosawa Hikaru wanted to explain, but when he saw the tram door opening, he acted decisively. Why is that? Mickey Baiha felt that it would be too much trouble for him to make a special trip to send her to her door. As soon as she finished speaking, Kurosawa Hikaru grabbed her wrist and pulled her out of the car. Avoiding the crowd, they quickly walked to the side. It may not be the evening rush hour, but there will be many people getting on the train at every station, which forces them to subconsciously look back. The two people stood side by side. On the platform, the handsome man and the beautiful woman directly became a beautiful scenery. Closed. Mickey Baiha waited for a while and saw the tram door slowly closing and couldn't help but said. Once the car door is closed, that means there is no turning back. There's still the next stop. Seeing her regretful look, Kurosawa reminded her. All right. Mickey Baiha thought about it for a while. Which way do you want to go? Kurosawa Hikaru grabbed her wrist and still didn't let go. He wouldn't have known it until he grabbed it before, but this time, he found that Mickey Baiha's arms were really slender. Uh, this way. Speaking of the direction of home, Miki Bayu hesitated for a moment, looked around and found the right direction. Seeing her reaction, Kurosawa Hikari couldn't help but look sideways. Do you still want to think about the direction home? Immediately, they started walking. It would be great if it keeps going like this. Miki Bayu watched him grabbing her wrist and pulling her back half a step ahead, her heart beating fast. Maybe she is a very independent person and has a clear understanding of pursuit, but when it comes to Kurosawa-senpai, she is willing to obey his arrangements. The feeling of being pulled along by someone is different from the feeling of walking together holding hands. Holding hands means walking side by side, being pulled along, giving her the feeling that even if she gives up thinking, she will be taken home safely. She's too thin. How much does she weigh? Kurosawa Hikaru walked in front, his mind wandering. He had a feeling that even he, who had not been strengthened by the system before, could easily pick up this schoolgirl. This way. After walking like this for a while, Miki Bayu came to his senses when he saw the intersection and pointed in the direction. Senior, you just said you were not afraid that I would get lost, so why did you send me home? With the turn, Miki Bayu came back to his senses and became curious. Farewell on the train because of a date is a very failed way to end it. Kurosawa Hikaru let go of her wrist, slowed down slightly, walked side by side with her, and explained. Is that so? Miki Bayu found out that he let go, and felt regretful, but he was also attracted by his words and always felt that they made sense. If we just said goodbye like that, the way this date ended was indeed too hasty. That's it? I couldn't say a lot of things on the tram just now. Kurosawa smiled and affirmed. In fact, he still had something to say, which was that there were many things you couldn't do on the tram. For example, a kiss goodbye, a heart-pounding farewell, even if you do nothing, just walk the last road together, and take a look at where Miki Bayu lives, it is better than the abrupt farewell on the train. Miki Bayu, who was still thinking, felt his heart tremble when he heard this, and couldn't help but look up at him. Suddenly, her heartbeat couldn't stop accelerating, but she was also worried. Has the senior already found the answer? The answer to whether you want to be with her or not, and the answer to whether you want her to be your fifth girlfriend. What can't you say? Thinking of this possibility, Miki Bayu asked nervously. We'll talk about it later. In response, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at the passers-by around him. While swinging his arm slightly, his fingertips touched her hand, and he followed the trend and held her hand. Although the answer could not be revealed, Miki Bayu held hands with him and looked at his side face. His nervous and anxious mood felt relieved and he suddenly felt happy. The two people held hands, feeling each other's temperature, skin, and touch without saying a word. As long as you keep moving forward, no matter how far the road is, it will have an end. Senior, I'm almost home. Although Miki Bayu enjoyed holding hands with him and walking together, she suddenly became a little anxious when she saw that she was getting closer to home. What were the words that the senior couldn't say on the train? Don't worry, how far is it? Kurosawa comforted her. The apartment in front. Miki Bayu raised his finger and pointed to the high-rise apartment that could be seen in the distance. Is it that close? Kurosawa followed her movements and visually determined that there was less than a few hundred meters left. Miki Bayu didn't want to be anxious, but he had no choice. Seeing the end point, Kurosawa Hikaru patrolled around, but still had no intention of stopping. Just as she was passing by an alley, Kurosawa's footsteps suddenly turned and he pulled her into it. Not so many people can see us now. Taking her to the alley, Kurosawa turned around and faced her face to face. Miki Shiryu, who was still anxious, saw her eyes darken. She looked up at the tall Kurosawa Hikaru, only to realize that she was knocked against the wall. Although there was already a height difference between them, but at such a close distance, the difference became even more obvious. Ask again. Kurosawa put one hand on the wall, covered her figure with his body, looked at her, and said softly. What? Mikibayu was a little nervous, and even more excited. The feeling of being banged against the wall is extremely impactful, making your heart beat faster. You don't know whether it's because of your heartbeat or what's the reason. There is no way to retreat, and the feeling of being forcibly imprisoned and having to face it makes people nervous and uneasy, not knowing what will happen. What you think? Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her little face that was covered by shadows and had a hazy beauty, and he had the urge to bully her. Can I be your fifth girlfriend? Mikibayu paused for a few seconds, then asked expectantly. Can't. Facing this question again, Kurosawa shook his head. Mikibayu, who was still full of expectations, was shaken when she saw him shaking his head. He felt as if he was struck by thunder. His mood instantly fell to the bottom, and his expression froze on the spot. Don't worry, I haven't finished speaking yet. Seeing her sad and heartbreaking reaction, Kurosawa Hikaru quickly added. Mikibayu's mind was in a mess, and he lowered his head in confusion. Why is this happening? Was her performance not good enough today? Has she been taken care of too many times and the senior feels bored? Miki Shireu. Seeing that she was distracted, as if she didn't hear her words, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly said in a deep voice. A name is a word with strong direction. As soon as these words came out, Mikibayu, who was still reflecting, came back to his senses and raised his head to look at him in astonishment. Can you be my girlfriend? After successfully attracting her attention, Kurosawa Hikari came face to face with her and asked. What? Mikibayu, who was already in a state of confusion, suddenly became even more confused when he heard such a confession. Too many things happened in the blink of an eye, and she couldn't handle such a complicated situation at the same time. The senior rejected her and confessed to her again? Maybe it's chauvinism. I think confession should not be said by girls, but by men. Putting an end to her heartbreak, Kurosawa Hikaru saw that she hadn't yet reacted and explained. After today's date, I have found the answer to whether I want to be with you or not. Seeing that she still had no words, Kurosawa Hikaru could only speak a monologue. Upon hearing this, Mikibayu's lost and dazed eyes filled with a layer of water and gradually became clear. Mikibayu, I want to be with you, can you be my girlfriend? Kurosawa Hikaru took a deep breath and asked. Okay, okay, okay. As soon as he finished speaking, Mikibayu nodded eagerly. She nodded quickly, like a chicken pecking at rice, up and down, nodding wildly. Her heart was beating very fast, as if she had just finished a roller coaster ride, going from hell to heaven. I want to be with you too. Mikibayu almost burst into laughter, he was so surprised. Originally, I planned to wait until the next date, a suitable time to confess my love to you, but you just confessed your love to me again, so I can only tell you now. Seeing her agree without hesitation, Kurosawa Hikaru was not surprised. He took his left hand out of her hand and caressed her palm-sized face, feeling helpless. This time, this place, as an opportunity to confess, is really not good enough. Senior, are we together now? Mikibayu was not so particular about these details and couldn't help but ask. Confess, agree, express your feelings to each other. If this doesn't count as being together, then what does? Seeing her reaction of jumping up with excitement, Kurosawa shook his head in amusement. No matter, even if such a confession may not become a very good memory, as long as she can be satisfied. Very good. After being confirmed, Mikibayu breathed a long sigh of relief, and his anxiety and surprise were washed away by a sense of security. In fact, she is not the kind of person with changeable emotions, but in front of Kurosawa-senpai, her heartstrings are always being stirred up and down. Kurosawa Hikaru was actually quite excited, but not as exaggerated as hers. He just looked at her happily. Today's date made him see clearly his feelings. He must like Mickey Baiu's appearance, and appearance, no man would not like it. He quite likes dating Mickey Baiu, although this girl is relatively simple and cannot understand his hints and connotations at all. She also has a leg injury, which makes people worry easily and needs to be taken care of. But this kind of thing is not necessarily a shortcoming. Kurosawa-senpai, are we a couple now? Mickey Baiu couldn't calm down and couldn't help but ask. Yes. Kurosawa Hikaru saw that she still wanted to confirm, so he simply gave the firmest answer. Lovers are different from husbands and wives in that they do not have a written contract, but they do have a verbal contract. Then what can we do after becoming a couple? Mickey Baiu nodded and asked. Although she was a girl majoring in literature and had read many literary works and read many love stories, this was her first time falling in love. The sudden happiness made her feel unreal and she didn't know what to do. You can do whatever you want, just say it. Kurosawa Hikaru glanced at her soft cherry mouth and said. In fact, he made a special trip to send Mickey Baiu home because he wanted to kiss her as a sweet ending. Then can I hug you? Mickey Baiu looked at his chest and made a tentative request, blinking at him with big eyes. Certainly. Realizing that her expectations were so simple, Kurosawa took a step back and opened his arms toward her. Seeing him open his heart, Mickey Baiu glanced at him. After hesitation and shyness, he boldly moved forward and hugged him. She's so little, and smells so good. With the soft fragrance in his arms, Kurosawa Hikaru closed his open arms and hugged her, feeling her petite and exquisiteness very strongly. Although she is close to 1.6 meters tall and is not considered a Lolita, Mickey Baiu's appearance is very childish, which really inspires a desire for protection. I like it, I like it, I like it. With her head buried in his arms, Mickey Baiu felt his presence, her mind gradually became excited, and her irrepressible impulse broke out, and she immediately shook her head left and right. To her, this hug felt more like a couple than the kiss on the face that morning. Because they hug each other, the feeling of two people's bodies sticking together is really comfortable. Be careful, my shirt has buttons. Noticing her movement, Kurosawa Hikaru quickly reminded her. I'll pay attention. Mickey Baiu raised his head and glanced at him, then said a word and continued to grind. Suck, suck, suck. While rubbing her face against his strong and elastic chest muscles, she also smelled his scent. Kurosawa-senpai smells so good, and he smells so good. Have you had enough hugs? Seeing her crazy sniffing movements, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly lost his composure and asked in a low voice. Because Mickey Baiu was wearing a thin dress, maybe she was hugging while standing, but with her rubbing like this, the soft and smooth feeling was really unbearable. Not enough, never enough. Maybe Mickey Baiu has a more well-behaved personality, but she finally hugged him as her girlfriend, how could she stop so easily? At this moment, Mickey Baiu, who was rubbing crazily in his arms, suddenly stiffened and couldn't help but raise his head to look at him. No way. Hikaru Kurosawa, who was not skilled enough and could not hold down the gun, said shamelessly when faced with her strange gaze. Enough hugs. Realizing the reason why he asked her to stop, Mickey Baiu's face became a little hot, and she obediently let go of her hand, ending the first hug. The two people stood face to face, and the atmosphere was a bit awkward for a while. Mickey-senpai, do you want to know what I couldn't say on the train? Because her eyes were falling downwards as if affected by gravity. Even though Kurosawa Hikaru was as thick-skinned as a city wall, she was a little embarrassed, so she simply changed the subject. What is it? After hearing this, Mickey Baiu, who couldn't help but peek, raised his eyes and looked at him. I want to kiss you, is that okay? Seeing her raising her head, Kurosawa put aside his embarrassment and spoke bluntly. As a photographer, his understanding of perspective is better than ordinary people. Because of this, he knows better than anyone how cute it is when a girl looks up at someone. Those big watery eyes blinked, and the innocent feeling made people very protective, and there was an urge to bully her. Yeah, yeah. Mickey Bio was stunned when he heard this, and then nodded in surprise. In fact, after hugging him, she wanted to kiss Kurosawa-senpai, but she felt that this was too abrupt. After all, they had just been a couple for less than 5 minutes, and they wanted to kiss each other. This was too anxious. Seeing her excited reaction, Kurosawa smiled and then leaned down. Giloo. Faced with his gesture of kissing, Mickey Bio couldn't help but swallowed her saliva and pursed her lips. She felt very uneasy, nervous, and shy. After all, it was her first kiss and she had little experience, so she wasn't sure whether she could do it well. Because it was his first kiss, Kurosawa Hikaru did not choose the subtle kissing method, but slowly moved forward. As he got closer and closer, Mickey Bio closed his eyes nervously, raised his head slightly, and his long eyelashes kept trembling, like silk curtains blown by the wind. The next moment, Kurosawa Hikaru kissed her cherry mouth tenderly. This kiss was like clouds touching each other, except that one cloud was bigger and the other was smaller. Finally, when he kissed her, Mickey Bio's heartstrings were struck by it, and her body became weak. Feeling her body weakening, Kurosawa's quick eyes and quick hands supported her lower back. There was no extra movement, just the lips touching, and they slowly separated after more than 10 seconds. As the kiss ended, Mickey Bio couldn't help but open his eyes, and met a pair of gentle eyes. His heart almost melted, and he just felt full of happiness. She was very lucky that even though she knew how many girlfriends Kurosawa-senpai had, she didn't give up. Just as she imagined, being with Kurosawa-senpai feels great. It's time for you to go home and rest. After being hugged and kissed, Kurosawa held her waist and helped her stand upright. Although the love was deep and the atmosphere was good, he was not so anxious that he would book a room on the first date. It's a very special situation to book a room and sleep together on the first date, so what happened to Xiaoyuki was special. Can I kiss you again? Mickey Bio was a little unfinished, looking at his lips, lingering. Kiss me next time. Kurosawa didn't agree. The kiss just now was very gentle and restrained because it was this girl's first kiss. If it happened again, he was worried that he would lose control and move his hands dishonestly. When is the next time? Although Mickey Bio really wanted to kiss him again, she was very obedient and didn't want to make him unhappy, so she just asked. Waiting for the next date. Good. Mickey Bio smiled when he thought that his performance would be the day after tomorrow and he could still see him. Let's go. Kurosawa Hikaru stretched out his hand to her. Mickey Bio held his hand and was pulled out of the alley by him. Do you live with your parents? Holding hands and walking towards the apartment not far ahead, Kurosawa Hikaru thought for a while and asked. No, my parents are in Hokkaido, and I am alone in Tokyo. Then what do you usually eat? I go to school and eat in the cafeteria. Now that I have summer vacation, I just buy food and cook it myself. Can you still cook? These are relatively simple dishes. Along the way, you and I exchanged questions and answers, and we soon reached the end. Bye-bye. Kurosawa Hikaru took one look at the apartment and waved goodbye to her instead of sending her upstairs. Bye-bye. Although Mickey Bio was reluctant to leave him, he said goodbye obediently. After saying goodbye, Kurosawa Hikaru turned around and walked away. After walking for a while, Kurosawa Hikaru always felt that there was a line of sight staring at him, and he looked back with some concern. I saw that Mickey Bio did not go directly into the apartment, but stood there, watching him. Her smile was very shallow, her eyes were very gentle, and her slim figure was very beautiful. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 416. When Kurosawa Hikaru returned home, he went to take a shower as soon as possible. After all, after playing outside all day, it was still a high-intensity sport like figure skating. After cleaning himself, Kurosawa Hikaru returned to the room, picked up his cell phone, and browsed various letters. The group chat of the hot girls group is as lively as ever. PM 8:03 minutes, Blue beautiful girl, has anyone got tickets to Master 0 Hours concert? Sato, no. Aoi, I just wanted to grab tickets, but the system prompted me that the network was busy and asked me to try again. When I logged into the app again to buy, it showed that the tickets were sold out. I thought it was stuck, so I tried many times. Still useless. Hinata, who isn't, the whole army was wiped out. Hitomi, didn't Yuki sign a contract with 0 Hour Agency? Your manager, MS Igarashi, should be 0 Hour Master's manager, right? Can you ask her to get some tickets for everyone? It is said that there is a concert performance organizers usually reserve internal tickets to invite various partners and friends to the performance. Yuki, I'll give it a try, Miss Igarashi only left one ticket for me. Blue beautiful girl, Yuki, don't go to Miss Igarashi. It's too expensive to ask for a ticket for everyone. Quay, money is not an issue. As long as you have tickets, I can treat everyone to a show and cultivate their sentiments. Blue beautiful girl, I just looked at the 0 Hour fan group. It only lasted for 5 minutes. Regular tickets priced at 9,800 yen have already been sold to 30,000, and there are still no prices. The price is 19,800 yen. Some people are asking for VIP tickets for as much as 70,000 yuan. Yuki, no way. 30,000 for a ticket. Blue beautiful girl, really, people who like to listen to piano concerts are generally rich. Because many people are unwilling to sell, the price is rising sharply. If Yuki helps everyone get tickets, even if they are all ordinary tickets, are worth more than 200,000 yuan. The value of the tickets reserved by the organizer, at least the VIP tickets, can be doubled. Aoi, sorry, there's nothing I can do, more than 200,000 is enough for us to go out and play for many days. More than 200,000 yen can already catch up with the monthly salary of an ordinary office worker. Yamamoto, is 0 Hour so popular? According to this interpretation, doesn't it mean that if you grab his ticket, you will earn it? Because of the topic of tickets and the price, Yamamoto, who never liked talking in the group, couldn't sit still. Blue beautiful girl, 0 Hour Master is not just an ordinary hit, he is a phenomenal influence. For this premiere, many fans flew all the way to Tokyo from France, the UK, and the United States. It is now on sale. 5 minutes, wait until before the show, the price will only be more terrifying. These chat contents are not all, because it is now 8:32 p.m., and the chat content is still at 8:06 p.m. When Kurosawa saw these group chats, he did not participate in them, but felt surprised. While thinking about it, he exited the group chat and saw the group chat of the firm's partners again. PM 8:01, Runa, great news. 2,200 tickets were sold out in 30 seconds. Kinzuru, the speed at which everyone grabbed tickets was so exaggerated that I didn't even get a ticket. Runai, why are you trying to steal tickets from everyone? You are Adelina at 0 Hour. When the time comes, you will sit on the stage. Chizuru, do I still want to go on stage? Runa, I'm just kidding, I left you the best super VIP ticket, the first row in the center. Chizuru, ### picture of angry cartoon character. Runa, don't be angry. On the day of the concert, 0 Hour is the star on stage, and you are the star off the stage. Runa, I got a call, let's not talk anymore. PM 8:07, Runa, there is bad news. The PR team called and said that all fans on Twitter are complaining that there are too few tickets and they can't handle them. In order to buy tickets, everyone is already buying them from others. Tickets. And a screenshot of the chat just came out. A fan bought a super VIP ticket for 200,000 yuan from someone else. This was only obtained with the added price of the VIP ticket, which immediately exploded the comment area. Chizuru, the Tokyo Bunkakaikan is too small, with only 2,303 seats. Even if we add special seats, it won't be enough to satisfy so many Twitter fans. Runa, let's not talk about it for now. I'm going to think of a solution. The group chat here is intermittent in time, and the situation is very different. Fans are naturally worried about not being able to buy tickets. As for the organizers, ticket prices are confusing and supply exceeds demand, which is also a big problem. PM 8:32, 0 hour, what's going on now? After reading this information, Kurosawa Hikaru saw a more comprehensive picture of the situation. He was immediately dumbfounded and wanted to help. Runa, the situation is the same as what was said in the chat above. I am discussing countermeasures with the public relations team. Currently, they have two solutions. The first one is to add online broadcast and live broadcast to the on-site basis. Runa, but there is a drawback to doing this, that is, it can satisfy most fans, but it will offend fans who have taken the trouble to get tickets and those who bought tickets at high prices from others. Runa, the second countermeasure is to hold another concert on September 1st and broadcast it then. But the disadvantage is that other fans still have to wait a whole day to see it, and they will still give the Twitter comment section exploded. Chizuru, it's best to make a decision as soon as possible. The purchase price for ordinary tickets has risen to 50,000, VIP tickets are 115,000, and someone is bidding 410,000 for super VIP tickets. 0 hour, how can I help? Runa, just concentrate on preparing for the performance. Let's not talk anymore. I'm still on the phone with someone. I'll talk to you later. At this point in the exchange of information, because she was busy, Kurosawa Hikaru could not continue to ask. He knows that 8 o'clock tonight is the time when concert tickets go on sale, and he also knows that when big stars hold concerts, ticket prices will inevitably be subject to ticket speculation. But what I never expected was that the ticket sales would cause such a big sensation, and that the tickets would be so horribly hyped. While thinking about it, he exited the group chat and saw the message from Miki's junior schoolmate. Are you back home yet? I may not see you the day after tomorrow. I didn't get a ticket. I raised the purchase price from 30,000 to 50,000, but no one was willing to sell me ordinary tickets. It turns out you were speculating on people's votes. Seeing this pitiful message, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly felt funny and replied. Unlike group chats, once the private chat page is opened, it will be displayed as read. He had promised Miki bio before that he would never be unable to read it back in the future. Senior Miki, Senior, can you sell me a ticket? Kk, poor crying expression. Text information on the internet usually cannot represent the actual situation, but it can express personal emotions. It was obvious that she really wanted to go to the concert. Don't cry, I'll get you a ticket. Faced with her request for help, Kurosawa responded without hesitation. After officially confessing and kissing, Miki Senpai has become his girlfriend wants to watch his performance, how can he ask her to pay for the tickets? Miki Senpai, thank you. It's difficult. With her thanks, Kurosawa Hikari came back to his senses and felt a headache. In fact, he just saw the group chat of the hot girls group, and he was originally thinking if he could ask Miss Runa to get some tickets for everyone. You know, he is the lead actor and a member of the organizer. It is not easy to get a few tickets. As a result, now, the issue of tickets has become so big that it's hard for him to open his mouth. In addition, there is a serious problem, that is, this concert may indirectly lead to everyone meeting, that is, the 5 girlfriends face to face. I don't know if I can go there in the future. While thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru suddenly thought of a question. While operating his mobile phone, he just retreated to the desktop and opened the email function on his mobile phone. Without sending a message, he received a message from the future, "See you the day after tomorrow." This message is very brief, but it is enough to show one thing. Sifan has bought tickets in the future and is sharing the joy. It looks like she's going too. Kurosawa Hikaru paused for a few seconds and said in relief. It's normal to think about it. Looking at this from a future perspective, this is her boyfriend's first official performance. No matter how many difficulties and troubles there are, he still has to support and watch. As for buying tickets, it won't be a problem at all for a rich man like this in the future. Even if the super VIP tickets are priced at an exaggerated price, for the future, it will only be a small amount of money. I'll see you tomorrow. After thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru sent her a message back. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and he has to work part-time as a tutor. Although the first premiere is just around the corner, he really doesn't need to make too much preparation for the performance. He can just go to the office for rehearsal and preview that day. Tokyo, the headquarters of Jui Bank, in the high-rise office. Okay, I will talk to my daughter about this when I get home, and I will contact you later. A handsome man with neat short blue hair, a mature and aged appearance, and a little stubble, wearing a suit and tie, hung up the phone with a smile on his face. As the phone hung up, his smile suddenly stopped and returned to calm. This man, named Ninomiya Naoki, is surprisingly the father of Ninomiya Chizuru. He raised his eyes and looked ahead. On the sofa area of the office, a woman with long red hair tied up and crow's feet at the corners of her eyes, but she still couldn't hide her beauty, was sitting there in a suit and uniform making a phone call. Not long after, the woman finished the phone call and walked to the desk. She is very tall and has an outstanding temperament. Her name is Ninomiya Chia, and she is the mother of Ninomiya Chizuru. Nihong has a tradition of taking her husband's surname, which was not the case with her original surname. Still the same phone number. Ninomiya Naoki waited until she came closer and said softly. This is the 7th call. 80% of the calls in the past 2 days are related to 0 hours. Naoki, this 0 hour seems to be more powerful than we expected. I heard from the customer that a regular ticket costs 40,000. The most expensive tickets are hundreds of thousands. Ninomiya Chia nodded, walked to him, turned around, stood on tiptoe, sat on the desk, and looked at him with her hands behind her back. What's so great about him? No matter how popular he is, he's still an artist, but don't you look at what Kinzuru's life has become since she starred in that MV. Ninomiya Naoki's attitude changed and he snorted coldly. Being an artist's girlfriend is indeed eye-catching, but being famous means influence and is a walking sign. I went to inquire about it and found that 0 hours backstage is very powerful. He is not an ordinary artist and has great potential. Chia Ninomiya knows her husband's temper better than anyone else and said with a smile. You want to convince me to accept them together? Ninomiya Naoki looked up at her with sharp eyes. Now everyone around the world knows that she is 0 hours girlfriend. Even if you insist on breaking them up, if others want to pursue Kinzuru in the future, they will think that she is 0 hours ex-girlfriend and may be deterred. What's more, Kinzuru is already 28 years old this year, and if it drags on any longer. Ninomiya Chia is not afraid of him, she just expresses her own opinion. What do you want to say? If Kinzuru breaks up with him, no one will want her? Kinzuru is so beautiful and smart, let alone 28 years old, even if she is 38 or 48 years old, there will still be people chasing her. Ninomiya Naoki interrupted her without any explanation. What I mean is that it's rare for Chizuru to find a boyfriend, and his conditions are not bad. He is not an ordinary person. He can give her a good life, so why not just follow her? As the mother-in-law, although Chien Inomiya has never met Zero Hour, she is very concerned about her daughter's affairs and has done a lot of research in the past 2 days. Is it a good life to be stared at by people all over the world? Even if what she said was ridiculous, Ninomiya Naoki's opinion remained unchanged. He knows the influence and fame of Zero Hour, and it is not difficult to make money. But this is not a question of more money or less, but a question of how to make money. The biggest difference between artists and other industries is that public figures in front of the stage must perform public activities and appear in public to make money. Perhaps if you become bigger and stronger in other industries, you will definitely attract attention and be widely known, but in most cases, you will operate in secret. Naoki, how long do you want to be your daughter's slave? Discovering that he had completely lost his usual calm thinking and judgment of there are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests when it came to his encounter with his daughter, Chien Inomiya's face darkened. Isn't what I said the truth? Seeing that she was angry, Ninomiya Naoki raised his eyes and looked at each other, arguing. Ninomiya Chien's eyes were cold. She also loves her daughter and likes to take care of her daughter's affairs, but in her opinion, her husband has really gone too far this time. It was clear that the person her daughter had found was excellent, but her attitude was always firm and there was no room for changing her mind. Ring ring ring. While they were arguing, the cell phone suddenly rang. Forget it, let's wait until we meet with Zero Hour later. Chien Inomiya lowered her head and glanced at her phone, then jumped off her desk and walked to the sofa area again. Ring ring ring. Before she could reach the sofa area, the cell phone in front of Ninomiya Naoki also rang. Tisk. Another call came, and Ninomiya Naoki curled his lips impatiently. President Take, good evening. Then, when he saw the name of the caller, he picked up the phone and said hello with a smile. As Adelina's parents and executives of Jui Bank, those who dare to call them to ask for tickets are either prominent figures or long-term business partners. As for people whose positions are below them and whose status is not as high as theirs, they simply don't have the guts, or should be said to be unqualified. At 9:30 p.m., an hour and a half has passed since the tickets were sold. Group chat among partners at Zero Hour firm. Runa, the countermeasures have been decided. Based on the live performance, we will broadcast it. Chizuru, will it be broadcast on YouTube? Runa, the broadcast platform is yet to be determined. If the broadcast offends some fans, then we will maximize the benefits and wait for bidding from various platforms. 0 Hour, bidding. Runa, the influence of this premiere has already been revealed, and the current attention on Twitter is exaggerated. Such a large amount of traffic is undoubtedly a piece of fat for major platforms, and it must be grabbed. Runa, this kind of business activity is complicated to talk about and can't be explained clearly in typing. Just concentrate on preparing for the performance and you won't make any mistakes. 0 Hour, okay. Kurosawa thought for a while and didn't ask any more questions. When the firm was established, they decided on their respective responsibilities. He acts as an artist who leads the agency's rise during 0 Hours. As the agent and boss, Runa is responsible for overseeing all matters of the firm. Regarding various things in the entertainment industry and many matters related to performances, he doesn't have the time or attention to care too much. After all, he has a lot of things to do besides being 0 Hour. Text me when you're done. After thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru sent a private message to Igarashi Runa. How many tickets do you need over there? After a while, Igarashi Runa replied. Are you done? After the tickets are on sale, we are now changing strategies and operations. We will be busy before the show ends. How did you know I wanted a ticket? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised. The message just now was the first message he sent to Igarashi Runa today. In the end, he didn't say anything, but his purpose was guessed. I still don't understand you. As for Miss Ichino's, I have already given her a ticket. The seats are quite far away from those of Chizuru, so I won't let them sit together. If possible, I would like 7, do you have them? Seeing how smart she was and how well she arranged things, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled and asked after thinking about it. Yes, I reserved 100 tickets in advance. Is this much reserved? These tickets are for partners, the talents I plan to recruit, and Chizuru and her parents. Chizuru's request for tickets should be very serious, after all, everyone knows that she is Zero Time's girlfriend. Are there any other considerations? After being reminded by this, Kurosawa Hikaru remembered that there was such a thing. Not many people know that he is Zero Time, except for Xiaoyuki, Shifunji Mirai and Junior Miki. Because Miss Runa is very smart, she prepared tickets for Xiaoyuki in advance, and Shifunji Mirai bought tickets, leaving only Junior Miki to ask him for tickets. In contrast, Ninomiya Chizuru, as Adelina, has too many people who know her. It seems that Miss Runa is really experienced as an agent and has considered things very carefully. I'll give you the tickets tomorrow. These tickets are not all super VIP. What is the relationship between you and the person you want to give the tickets to? Is it important? One is very important, and the others are just ordinary friends. After thinking about it, Kurosawa Hikaru replied. He wants so many tickets, most of which are for those in the hot girl group. In fact, he only wanted to give it to Aoi and Ai, because they had a better relationship with Yuki and took better care of her. But since he had already issued the tickets, he couldn't neglect one while neglecting the other, so he simply arranged for all of them and gave everyone a favor, so that everyone would take better care of Yuki in the future. Then 1 super VIP ticket and 6 ordinary tickets. Igarashi Runa didn't ask too much, just asked. Yes. Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it and confirmed that it was correct. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 417. Can I ask the gender of the person you want to give super VIP tickets to? After deciding on the number of votes, Igarashi Runa sent another message. Female. After Kurosawa considered it, he responded to her. After all, Miss Runa is very smart, gentle, and careful, and can handle things very skillfully. Rather than hiding it from her, it would be better to reveal the necessary information. Following the reply, a sentence quickly popped up on the phone. The 5th. This question made Kurosawa Hikaru's heart skip a beat, and he didn't know how to reply. I'm going to get busy. However, before he could reply, Igarashi Runa sent another message. Go ahead. Seeing her give the steps, Kurosawa naturally followed them down. After ending the private chat, he looked at other messages. The group chat of the Spice Girls is still very lively, because they didn't buy tickets, and everyone's discussion points are very complicated. For example, they all sighed when they saw that the ticket price was very exaggerated. For example, I guess what the performance will be like and feel envious. Tonight is bound to be lively. After all, there is a serious problem with ticket sales exceeding supply, which has caused controversy. Seeing a leopard at a glance. Although he didn't go on Twitter, he roughly saw the situation. At this moment, Kurosawa Hikaru's cell phone vibrated and sounded a notification sound. Line user, Ninomiya-sensei, Kurosawa, are you busy? I forgot to change the note. Seeing this scene, Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned for a moment and said to himself. This is a previous note. The current Chizuru Ninomiya is no longer a teacher at Tokyo University. No, what happened? Do you have time to make a phone call? After reading this message, Kurosawa Hikaru made a video call without any hesitation. After a while, the video call was connected. Sister Chizuru, good evening. Seeing a beautiful and mature face of a royal sister appear on the phone screen, Kurosawa said hello with a smile. I have to say that he had just finished a date with the thin Miki Shiraha and saw Ninomiya Chizuru. The strong contrast made him feel amazing. Kurosawa, good evening. Ninomiya Chizuru is wearing an off-white fashionable shirt, with long hair in a high hairpin, with bangs hanging down, and a strand of hair on the temples sticking to her cheeks. Her beautiful sky blue eyes have a sad look, and her delicate face looks a bit broken. Feel. What happened? Seeing the worried look on her face, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but feel pity, and his voice became a little gentler. My mom called me just now. Then what? She wants me to give her 22 tickets. Do you want so many? But it's not a big problem. Ms. Runa has reserved a lot of tickets. Kurosawa Hikaru clicked his tongue a little and comforted him. He originally thought that he wanted 7 tickets, which was already a big deal for a lion. He never thought that his mother-in-law would be more ruthless, 3 times as much as he did. I asked Runa, and the tickets are indeed enough. It would be okay if she just asked me to get the tickets, but the problem is that this is just an appetizer. Ninomiya Chizuru shook her head. What's the highlight? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little curious. She wants to talk to you after the show. Ninomiya Chizuru raised her eyes and looked at him tentatively. After hesitation, she still said, this. Kurosawa Hikaru paused upon hearing this. No wonder Chizuru looks sad. Compared to this, the tickets are really an appetizer. Meeting my mother-in-law is not an easy matter. You know, Ninomiya's mother used her power to ruin a banker's career just because others said bad things about her daughter. Although he was happy to hear about it and thought that the man deserved it and did a good job. But through this incident, it is not difficult to see that the mother-in-law has a very cruel character and is by no means an easy person. I also know that this is sudden, but she said that she had gone to a concert and we just happened to meet up. I really don't know how to refuse. I'm not forcing you, please help me think of a way. When Ninomiya Chizuru saw his expression frozen on the spot, she felt helpless and completely lost her temper. Faced with such rhetoric, she thought about it for a long time and couldn't find a suitable reason to refuse. If she wants to meet, then let's meet. Seeing her troubled and weak-eyed, Kurosawa Hikaru came to his senses and made a decision immediately. Want to meet? Ninomiya Chihi was shocked. With her parents, the biggest disadvantage is that Kurosawa's identity is exposed. If Kurosawa was dedicated and had her as his only girlfriend, there would be no problem. But he also got involved with the eldest lady of Seifunjayuan, and there will be inevitable involvement in the future. You can hide it for a while, but you can't hide it forever, unless I break up with you, but that's impossible. Sooner or later, my father-in-law and mother-in-law will know my true identity. Instead of waiting until one day to be forced to be exposed, it's better to take the initiative. Kurosawa Hikaru naturally knew the trouble that meeting his father-in-law and mother-in-law would bring, but his thinking was very clear. Even if he wanted to hide this matter, he absolutely couldn't. After all, he couldn't wear a mask when meeting his father-in-law and mother-in-law, right? You also know that some things can't be hidden forever. Originally, they were not very satisfied with your career. If one day, they know how many boats you have, they will definitely be very angry and want to break us up at all costs. Ninomiya Chizuru was very moved when she heard him say that it was impossible to break up, but she still remained rational. The current situation is already so helpless. If the worst happens, there is really no way to save it. As long as you don't plan to break up with me, no one can break us up. If that day comes, we will have already cooked rice. Kurosawa Hikaru could understand her train of thought, but his thoughts were also clear. Faced with this situation, we can only rely on poor information to gain more time. Cooking rice into cooked rice. Ninomiya Chizuru didn't quite understand this sentence. That means we get married and have children before they find out. When they want to break us up, it won't be as simple as forcing us to break up, but whether they want to break up a family. As the saying goes, they would rather tear down 10 temples, don't ruin a marriage. Seeing that she didn't understand this Chinese proverb, Kurosawa explained it to her. Marry? Do you want to marry me? Ninomiya Chizuru was shocked when she heard this and looked at him in disbelief. She was a little nervous and stuttered when she spoke. Since I want to be with you, I must get married. Kurosawa Hikaru was very confused when facing this look. He is very serious about love, has absolutely no idea of playing around, and is responsible for both parties. Otherwise, before he was in college, he would have been pursued by so many girls and would have traveled all over Shizuoka Prefecture. Oh! Looking at his serious expression, Ninomiya Chizuru nodded, lowered her head and raised her eyes again. Haven't you ever thought about marrying me? Seeing her strange expression, Kurosawa was surprised. You have several girlfriends, who knows who you will marry? After hearing this, Ninomiya Chizuru paused, straightened her head, straightened her hair, and rolled her eyes at him. Before they went on their first date at the amusement park, while she was waiting for Kurosawa to graduate, she had thought about marrying Kurosawa. She even thought about how her name would be Kurosawa Chizuru and what to name her child. But the words "I want to marry you" were really difficult for her to say. She didn't know how Kurosawa could say it so easily. Well, Kurosawa Hikaru could tell that she was shy, but he was speechless. In short, we meet when we meet. The time chosen by my mother-in-law is after the performance, which is very beneficial to us. Immediately, Kurosawa Hikaru stopped delving into this topic and returned to the topic. Is it beneficial? Ninomiya Chizuru was particularly concerned about her parents' affairs, and her attention was instantly attracted. After watching my performance, my mother-in-law will definitely be amazed. Seeing her confused look, Kurosawa Hikaru said matter-of-factly. To put it bluntly, no one in the world can play master-level piano at his level. What's more, he also brought some timeless classic piano music from his previous life. Do you think they haven't seen the video of you playing the piano? My parents know that you play well, but they still think that the career of an artist is not good. Ninomiya Chizuru didn't think so. After all, she knew her parents' personalities very well. Maybe her parents are indeed mercenary and snobbish, but aside from their strong desire for control and shortcomings of being harsh in speech, they also have many advantages, especially the fact that they love her. There is no doubt about it. Do you think they might stop us from being together after watching the show? Kurosawa Hikaru paused for a few seconds and then asked. Thinking about it carefully, my baby daughter suddenly appeared in the MV of a single, and it made everyone famous. My father-in-law and mother-in-law said that they had never seen the video, which was really impossible. It's not that it's possible, but it will definitely be stopped. Actually, what bothers me the most is that after my parents met you, they didn't say nice enough things to offend you. Ninomiya Chizuru nodded, her brows filled with worry. Is that so? Kurosawa Hikaru realized that he was too self-righteous. His piano is indeed of unparalleled quality and can amaze people all over the world. But in fact, not everyone will be impressed by his superb piano skills. For example, Brother Shinichi, even if he heard his performance, he just didn't realize how good it was and thought it sounded pretty good, so his reaction was the same. Rather than his piano skills, Brother Shinichi admires his archery skills more. The reason why I have only had one good friend, Runa, for so many years is because most people simply can't stand my parents' personalities. Although they love me very much, on the contrary, they don't love others at all, and they criticize my friends. And even made bad remarks, which made many of my friends stay away from me. Because of this, I had many quarrels with them, and it was also the fundamental reason why I wanted to resist them no matter what. Seeing him thinking, Ninomiya Chizuru hesitated and revealed her feelings. Regarding her parents' personalities, she had not told anyone about them for many years. Every family has a difficult scripture to recite. Kurosawa Hikaru didn't expect to have such a past, and couldn't help but mutter to himself. Although he had heard about the situation of Ninomiya's parents, he didn't expect it to be so bad. Runa has actually suffered a lot of unfair treatment, and she was told some unpleasant things by my parents, but she has such a good character and distinguishes between public and private matters. She doesn't take these things to heart, but insists on being my friend. Ninomiya-kun, he nodded slightly and couldn't help but said. She knows better than anyone how good Runa is to her. Because of this, she is willing to share her beloved with Runa, and the three of them will be happy together. Is your father-in-law afraid of your grandparents? Realizing this situation, Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it and decided to repeat the same trick. Since it is difficult to break through head-on, then go straight to Huanglong. Why do you ask? Ninomiya Chizuru was a little puzzled. If you're afraid, we can change the target and get your grandparents' consent. Seeing that she didn't understand, Kurosawa explained. He has already used this trick once, and the effect is outstanding. Even if the future mother is very difficult to deal with, he will win with one move and has no ability to fight back. My grandparents are quite cautious in front of my dad. Many times they are worried that they are not good enough, because my dad is so capable and has a strong personality. Understanding his intention, Ninomiya Chizuru hesitated and then explained. Then is your mother afraid of your grandma and grandpa? My grandma and grandpa passed away a few years ago. Don't they have any weaknesses? Weaknesses that force them to compromise. Discovering that this was another unsolvable direction, Kurosawa felt a headache. He wanted a surefire way to win. As the saying goes, know yourself and the enemy and you will be victorious in every battle. He knew so little about his father-in-law and mother-in-law that it was really difficult to come up with a plan. At this moment, Ninomiya Chizuru suddenly had a flash of inspiration. What? Realizing that she seemed to have thought of something, Kurosawa suddenly became energetic. Ninomiya Chizuru's eyes became very bright, as if there was light shining. Sure enough, it was a good decision to discuss it with Kurosawa, and she found a way to win. You. Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned for a moment, confused by this answer. Are the father-in-law and mother-in-law afraid of Kinzuru? If they were really afraid, they wouldn't have to sit here and have a headache together through their mobile phones. In order to keep Runa and prevent her from being forced away, I once threatened death. My parents compromised. Ninomiya Chizuru nodded firmly and explained. Is there still such a thing? After learning about this, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at her in shock. If they were to break us up anyway, I would use the same method. Thinking of this plan, Ninomiya Chizuru looked at Kurosawa Hikaru with extremely firm eyes. Runa is very important to her and she doesn't want to be separated even if she dies. The same goes for Kurosawa Hikaru. Kurosawa Hikaru was silent. He didn't know how to respond for a moment and had mixed feelings in his heart. Is this a confession? It was definitely a confession. That undying love was even more passionate than when he just said it was impossible to break up. However, he felt not only lucky, but also stunned. Chizuru, a smart and rational person, has ever been so mad that she wanted to die. What kind of parents would push her to such a desperate situation? Does it have to be so extreme? Kurosawa pondered. This is a surefire way to win. Ninomiya Chizuru nodded and affirmed. If you want to defeat her parents, ordinary strategies are useless. Don't use this method until the last moment. Before then, I will find a way. Kurosawa Hikaru could feel that this was a sure way to win, but he didn't want things to get to this point. Good. Ninomiya Chizuru saw his expression, reacted, noticed that his words and actions were crazy, and nodded. With the agreement, the two people lost their voices and each had his own thoughts. Although Kurosawa Hikaru didn't want things to go to extremes, he didn't have a good strategy at the time. This was a tough battle. While he was thinking, the system's voice suddenly sounded in his ears, "New mission." Immediately afterwards, many lines of words appeared in front of his eyes. Date mission, hot spring trip with Ninomiya Chizuru. Mission objectives, meet in hot spring, wash her feet, kiss 10 times, let her hold you to sleep. Task period, 7 days. Task funds, entry-level piano, entry-level finance investment theory, experience card. Task rewards, entry-level piano, entry-level finance investment theory, permanent. She wants to go to a hot spring hotel? In the summer. Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but feel surprised after reading the date mission. The goal setting of dating tasks is actually based on the woman's preferences. To understand it in a simple way, it means what kind of things the woman expects to happen during the date. In short, even if the task cannot be completed, just completing a goal can bring good emotional value to the woman and make the relationship between the two people better. As a top student, he always achieved all his goals. However, what does this mission goal mean when you hold it to sleep? It's intriguing. There are still 7 days to complete the task, isn't it too soon? It simply means that the faster, the better. Kurosawa, after the concert, how about we go on a trip to Hakone? When he came back to his senses and looked at his phone, he saw Ninomiya Chizuru with her hair pulled back and her lips were red, alluring. Isn't Hakone a hot spring town? Do you want to go to hot springs in summer? Through the dating mission, he got a glimpse of her expectations and thoughts, and Kurosawa Hikaru was a little confused about the choice of hot springs. Can't you take a hot spring bath in the summer? Ninomiya Chi rolled her eyes at him with resentment. Maybe it's because of the budding spring heart. This look is so charming and breathtaking. Yes, yes, yes. Seeing such a look, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't bear it and nodded repeatedly. If you think about it carefully, Kin's personality is relatively reserved and reserved. Even if she wants to hold him to sleep or make a meal, she would definitely be ashamed to say so. In this case, a place like a hot spring hotel can be said to be the best place. I've been very tired from work recently, and I want to take a bath in a hot spring to relieve my fatigue. You have to perform and play the piano with high intensity, so you must be very tired. It's a good time to relax. Seeing that he agreed, in order to prevent her thoughts from being exposed, Ninomiya Chizuru also provided additional explanations. Indeed, will you take Miss Runa with you when the time comes? Kurosawa Hikaru saw that her thoughts were exposed and she was still trying to hide it. He suddenly wanted to tease her and nodded in agreement. I must take her with me. How could I not take her with me? Ninomiya Chizuru looked at him in surprise when he heard this, feeling confused. Do you really want to take her with you? Seeing this reaction, Kurosawa Hikaru was stunned and somewhat doubtful about life. It doesn't make sense, her personality is so reserved and shy, she should be thinking about the world of two people during this date. Judging from her reaction, it seems that there is absolutely no way she can fall in love with Igarashi Runa. Could it be that she wants a quilt from her best friend? Don't you want to take her with you? Ninomiya Chizuru was a little puzzled. Ask her first to see if she is free, she is much busier than us. Kurosawa didn't express his position, he just deflected the question. Faced with such a beautiful thing, absolutely no man would not want it. Having said that, his relationship with Chizuru was still at the kiss stage, and there had been no real progress for a long time. If you want your relationship to heat up, whether you are a couple, friends, colleagues, brothers, or sisters, the best way is to get along alone. Indeed, ask her first. Ninomiya Chizuru thought about it and it was right. As an agent, Runa is responsible for all kinds of small and big things during odd hours. She is really busy during this time. Let's ask her after the show. Kurosawa Hikaru watched her thinking, and his heart beat faster. Good. Ninomiya Chizuru nodded. They agreed to travel to Hakone, and the two chatted for a while. Because Chizuru Ninomiya hadn't taken a shower yet and wanted to take a shower, they ended the call. After ending his communication with Chizuru, Kurosawa Hikaru made another video call to Ichino's Yuki. Brother Guang, good evening. When the video call was connected, Yuki Ichino's was very happy and greeted him energetically. Her smile was bright, as if she had finally waited for him. Good evening, Yuki-chan. Seeing her cheerful look, Kurosawa Hikaru's mood was healed. It feels really good to be with Xiao Yuki, and I won't have any worries at all. Brother Guang, are you very busy today? Ichino's Yuki also smiled when she saw him, and nodded happily. Duck sat on the carpet and asked curiously. Fortunately, I just talked about work matters with Ms. Runa. Kurosawa Hikaru omitted the private conversation with Chizuru, which was not a malicious concealment, and it was not good news. Oh, there's a big fuss over the ticket sales. How's the situation? Ichino's Yuki was not surprised by this and expressed concern. As bystanders, she and her friends were naturally watching the show, but Brother Guang was different. He was a member of the organizer, so his perspective was definitely different. We have already figured out countermeasures. The specific countermeasures are very complicated to say. Compared with this kind of thing, I have good news. What good news? Ichino's Yuki found that he didn't want to discuss work too much, so he didn't continue to ask more questions, but followed his topic. No matter what Brother Guang says, she will go along with it. I got 6 tickets for you. Seeing that she was very cooperative, Kurosawa Hikaru smiled and said. 6 tickets. Hearing this, Yuki Ichino's was shocked. I saw the group information. Didn't everyone get the tickets? Tomorrow I will ask Miss Runa to get the tickets. I will give them to you then. You can distribute them to everyone in the hot girl group. Wow, you asked Miss Igarashi for the tickets, why didn't you hand them over to them? Yuki Ichino's realized his intentions and was very moved, but immediately felt puzzled. The tickets for this show are so precious. I suddenly took out 6 tickets, and they might be suspicious. It makes sense for you to hand them over to them, because you are also a member of Zero Hour Agency, and everyone knows that you are closely related to Zero Hour. It's a collegial relationship. Kurosawa shrugged and explained. Tokyo's Most Affectionate. Author, Wodada Shuchu Wujin. Chapter 418. At 11 o'clock in the evening, the group chat of the hot girls group suddenly started to move again. Blue and Blue Beautiful Girl, have you seen it? Ms. Igarashi's official recommendation. Aoi, you mean Zero Hour Master's manager? I don't follow her Twitter, what did she post? Blue Beautiful Girl, it doesn't matter if you haven't watched it. I, a little expert in saving money, can help you draw 3 conclusions. First, Zero Hour Agency apologized for the insufficient tickets and poor consideration for the premiere. Second, the first performance at Zero Hour will be a live and online performance. Third, Zero Hour office will give additional benefits to ticket holders. Due to the busy schedule of performances, we have not yet come up with the best plan. Please keep your ticket stubs and pay attention to follow-up news after you go offline to watch the game. Hinata, in other words, we can watch Zero Hour Master's performance. Blue Beautiful Girl, that's right, it's a pity that it's not offline. The online live broadcast doesn't have the atmosphere of a live broadcast at all. And I also want to see Adelina again. She is really beautiful. Aoi, Don't be too greedy. I'm lucky to be able to see Master 0 Hour's first performance. The reaction of this small group can be said to be the epitome of the chaos on the internet. Maybe it wasn't 0 Hour's official recommendation, but because of 0 Hour's forwarding, Igarashi Runa, the manager, also appeared in front of people's eyes. In fact, very enthusiastic fans have known for a long time about the existence of 0 Hour's manager, Runa Igarashi. As soon as this announcement came out, the public sentiment was extinguished. Although it was not the most satisfactory result, it was satisfactory and generally acceptable. It's great. I've been looking forward to the concert before, but I'm going crazy if I didn't get a ticket this time. Thank you Master 0 Hour and Igarashi's manager for your wise decision. In the comment section of Twitter, after seeing the new tweet, they retweeted it like crazy. The reaction of the fans is naturally mostly satisfactory, because the number of tickets is really too small, but there are countless audiences who want to see the first premiere of 0 Hour. There are also a few fans who are not very satisfied, or they are the ones who grabbed the tickets and became the best in just a few hours. However, a very small number of protests were directly submerged in the tide, unable to make waves. The next day at 4:27 p.m., Shibuya Station. No matter what day it is, Shibuya is always lively. Wearing a short-sleeved t-shirt and tight trousers, Ichinose Yuki stood waiting at the station exit. At this moment, the sharp-eyed Yuki Ichinose noticed the people walking out of the station, met their eyes, and waved hello enthusiastically. Yuki, don't you have to go to dance practice today? Soon, Shianae ran over and took her hand directly. Yuki. Chiyukui was wearing a windbreaker, lined with fishnet to wrap her chest, and her well-trained waist was embellished with a black plaid net. She had a single ponytail and a hat. She followed slowly, looking very cool. I specially sent a message to the women's group to invite everyone out. What's the matter? The petite Hitomi Matsushita is wearing a baggy t-shirt and her pink hair is tied into twin tails. She looks very cute. Well, it's a bit complicated to say, you guys, just look at this. Facing the arrival of the three hot girls, Yuki Ichinose pondered, then lowered his head and took out something from his bag. The three people who came here for her paid special attention to everything she said and did. Because of this, the three people saw the thing in her hand at a glance. It was a ticket with a black background and white characters. Seeing this, Chiyukui couldn't help but be stunned. But before she could take a closer look, Shiana-lan had quick eyes and quick hands and stretched out her hand to press it. However, instead of taking it, she pressed down Yuki Ichinose's palm. Yuki, aren't you afraid of the danger of taking out your concert tickets at the entrance of a station with so many people? Shiana-aoi said anxiously as he stepped forward to block Ichinose Yuki's hand. Danger. Ichinose Yuki didn't quite understand what he said. Anyway, let's go first. Aoi Shiana looked around with vigilance, always feeling that everyone was full of malice. Without further explanation, he said something to everyone and pulled Ichinose Yuki away. Not long after, they walked into a dim sum shop and sat on the edge. Yuki, you were too careless just now. If I hadn't reacted quickly enough, you would have been in danger if you were discovered holding the tickets. You might have been robbed. After finally sitting down, Shiana-aoi felt relieved and lectured. Is it so serious? Yuki Ichinose shrank her head without realizing it. It's so serious. Although Master Zero's concert is broadcast and everyone can watch the performance. But it is precisely because of the online broadcast that the places that can go to the venue are even more scarce. Now a regular ticket the price has already reached 58,000 yuan, and there is still room for appreciation. Aoi Shiana nodded firmly. She surfed until 3 in the morning last night, so she was very aware of everyone's enthusiasm. Yuki, are you holding the tickets for Master 0 Hour's concert? Chiyukui, who was sitting opposite, couldn't help but ask. Uh-huh. Itchy Nose Yuki nodded, then raised his hand again and presented the 6 tickets to them like opening a fan. 6. When Ai Shiana saw the ticket in her hand, her mouth turned into a shape of 0, and she was shocked on the spot. Yuki, did you really go to Miss Igarashi to ask for tickets? Matsushita Hitomi was shocked. In fact, she just said it casually last night. After all, she didn't have to do the trouble herself. Later, she gave up the idea under the stop of Shiana Ai. Because the price of the tickets for the first performance of 0 Hour was really amazing. Yuki, where did you get so many tickets? Did you really ask Miss Igarashi? Would it be bad to ask for so many? Akazuki Aoi's family was very wealthy. She ate and drank well on weekdays and was well informed. She was not shocked. She asked in a low voice and cared. When she asked about this, her heartbeat could not help but accelerate. You know, after the shock and baptism of last night, she has fully realized that the tickets for the first performance of 0 Hour are treasures with a price but no market. It is not easy to get even one ticket, but Yuki took out 6 tickets. Compared with the surprise, she was more worried about whether this matter would cause trouble for Yuki. This is what Kwon gave me, not what I asked Miss Igarashi for. Seeing everyone's intense reaction, Itchy Nose Yuki smiled, put the ticket under the table again, and said. Kurosawa gave it to you. Shiana-lan widened her eyes and felt incredible. Where did he get so many tickets? Akazuki Aoi felt unbelievable. This was really an unexpected answer. What's the situation? Matsushita Hitomi wanted to ask, but the lines were all said, so she simply responded and followed everyone's pace. I don't know, I was playing at Kwang's house today, and then he was going to work just now. When I separated from him, he suddenly took out 6 tickets and asked me to pass them to you. Itchy Nose Yuki shook her head and explained. Only gave you 6, Akazuki Aoi confirmed. There are only 6 tickets, specially prepared for everyone. He wants us to have more fun. He wants to invite everyone to watch the concert. Exactly 6 tickets. Is he watching everyone's group chat? Akazuki Aoi was thoughtful. She originally thought that Kurosawa had blocked their group. After all, that guy was really busy. What made her even more puzzled was what means Kurosawa used to get so many tickets. Because it is hard to get a ticket, these tickets are not only scarce in number, but also have skyrocketed in price. These 6 tickets are already worth more than 300,000 yen. Kurosawa is too powerful, right? Shiana-lan sat next to her, looking down at the tickets in her hand, feeling extremely excited and admiring. She didn't think about how this was done, because in her opinion, no matter what Kurosawa did, it was normal. It's a pity that it's an ordinary ticket. I'm afraid I won't be able to sit with everyone on the day of the performance. Itchy Nose Yuki smiled when she saw her admiration. Although Gwang Ji wanted her to give the tickets to everyone in her own name, she felt that this was not a good idea. Because Gwang Ji had been absent from group activities many times, and he couldn't join in this time, so he would definitely be suspicious. Compared to this, using 6 tickets to satisfy everyone, no one would think that Gwang Ji was absent during the performance and was busy with something. Ordinary tickets are already good, Yuki. It's really great that I can be friends with you and Kurosawa. Hearing her words, Shiana-lan widened her eyes, and then held her hand, and cried while talking. The hot girl group has rules, helping each other, but not causing big trouble. That's why she knew the difficulty of asking Yuki to ask Miss Igarashi for tickets last night, and she stopped it. To be honest, she regretted it a little bit before going to bed last night. Because of her words, it can be said that the possibility of going to the scene to watch the performance was completely eliminated. Unexpectedly, Yuki retreated when she knew the difficulty, but her boyfriend stood up. That's too much, don't cry. Seeing her crying, Yuki Itchy Nose was really shocked. This is a cry of joy, not sadness. Shiana-lan was really moved. Let's not talk about how Kurosawa got so many tickets. Will he go to the show? Because of this crazy fan's exaggerated reaction, Akazuki Aoi held her nerves and remained calm. It has to be said that it is really difficult to meet Kurosawa. Originally, I thought that if he went, even if it was difficult to ask, I would ask Miss Igarashi for a ticket. But he said that he had an important paper to write recently, so he was very busy, and he was not interested in piano music. Yuki Ichino shook her head. Writing a paper. When these words came out, the three hot girls were choked, and they felt awe and sighed. The world of academic masters is really daunting for academic losers. For them, the paper is simply a concept of another dimension. I always feel that when they are idle and having fun every day, Kurosawa has always been in their invisible place, working hard, so he is so outstanding and powerful. The three hot girls stopped talking after being blocked by the thesis. Although they looked down on the nerds in the class, they still dared not despise the top students in the University of Tokyo, who were powerful figures that were beyond their reach. The tickets are for you, please pass them on to your boyfriends. Seeing everyone choking on the thesis, Yuki Ichino chuckled and then distributed them to the three people. With so many tickets, is it really okay to give them to us? Subconsciously taking the tickets in his hands, Shienai knew the value of these tickets. Although he was extremely excited, after calming down, he felt guilty for a moment and felt that the tickets in his hands were very hot. If Yuki took these tickets and sold them, he would be able to sell them for at least 300,000 yen. 300,000 yen. Many ordinary office workers may not be able to earn this much salary even if they work for a month. As soon as these words came out, Chiyukui and Hitomi Matsushita, who had just received the tickets, were stunned and looked at each other. Neon people, whether they are lovers or friends, will strictly follow the A rule of I don't owe you, you don't owe me. If they receive a gift, they will definitely return it with a gift of equal price, or a similar gift. Of course it's great. Let's go to the show together, and everyone wants to go to the show so much. If I go to the show alone, I always feel quite lonely. Seeing their reactions, Ichino's Yuki nodded affirmatively and confessed. This is true. Obviously everyone was on standby before the ticket sales started, and they were all looking forward to this premiere. If she was the only one to see it, she would really not be able to feel at ease. Thanks. As much as Aoi Shiina wanted the tickets, she felt deeply grateful to Yuki. Don't say thank you, we are friends. Seeing her serious and moved face with tears in her eyes, Ichino's Yuki held her hand and said, in this world, there are many things that cannot be clearly priced. She is very careful and has been targeted and treated maliciously by countless people, so she has always taken everyone's care of her seriously. Even though Hitomi Matsushita has a bad personality and sometimes her words are not very pleasant to listen to, she has defended her and stood by her side in school. As for Aoi and Lan, they took more care of her than they could count. Let's order some drinks first. What do you want to drink? Hearing these words, Chiyukui felt very warm and said immediately. Yuki, did you get the ticket that Ms. Igarashi left for you? Sincerity can always touch people's hearts. Matsushita Hitomi was a little touched. He remembered the care and favor this time in his heart, changed the subject, and turned the story around. Got it? Yuki Ichino nodded. One thing she didn't confess to everyone was that Miss Igarashi drove specially to deliver these tickets to Brother Guang. Because she was with Brother Guang, he naturally gave her the ticket. What kind of ticket is it? It is this. Faced with this question, Ichino's Yuki hesitated, lowered his head, opened the small bag, and took out a ticket from another mezzanine. Super VIP, wow. Hitomi Matsushita's eyes suddenly lit up when she saw the patterns and words on the ticket, and she exclaimed. She is very discreet, and whether what she says sounds good or not depends only on whether she thinks about it or not. She used to dislike Yuki itchy nose. Yuki was so beautiful that even without makeup, she looked better than herself. It was really an eyesore. In fact, she had acted as a promoter and single-handedly facilitated the situation where Yuki had to pull her boyfriend out, otherwise he would be lying. She felt at ease about this matter, because everyone's boyfriends would be there every time, but hers never showed up, which had to make people suspicious. Since Kurosawa Hikaru appeared, her thoughts have not changed. She is jealous that she has such a good boyfriend and wants to steal him from her. But now, she has completely changed her mind. When others treat you sincerely, their kindness is like the morning sunshine, warm and comfortable, able to sweep away all dark malice. Meanwhile, downtown apartments. I always feel like you are absent-minded. Is it difficult to perform the show? In the study room, Sci-fi was working on a question in the future. He looked sideways at the man beside him and asked in a low voice. The performance is very simple. When the time comes, I just go on stage and play the set list. Kurosawa Hikaru shook his head. He had no worries at all about the performance, just like he had participated in the Kyoto competition at the Budokan before. Because this is not the first time he has performed on stage. He has played one song in a Western restaurant, and he has also played 3 songs in the Tokyo Bunkakuikan in front of everyone's attention, stunning the audience. You are so confident. You are indeed the person I like. If that's not the reason, then why? Sci-fi looked at his calm look with a smile, and was a little puzzled. I wonder what the banker's weaknesses are. After much thought, Kurosawa decided to talk about his troubles. Is it difficult for Chizuru Ninamiya's parents to deal with it? Sci-fi Mirai held the pen in his hand and gently put it against his chin, thinking about it before asking. Are you holding a script in your hand? How come you can guess my situation every time? Hearing this, Kurosawa Hikaru couldn't help but look sideways. This has happened more than once. The future is obviously a caged bird, but it can always guess what happens to him outside. You revealed too much information, and the things that bother you are not easy to imagine. Sifenjayuan found that he had guessed correctly again in the future, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. In fact, she had expected this day after Adelina's MV was exposed. What do you think? Instead of denying it, Kurosawa asked for help. As the eldest lady of the consortium, Sifenjayuan always has a unique vision for the future. You tell me the situation first, and then I can give you some advice. Sifenjayuan would be happy to help him solve his problems in the future, but he was not careful about what he said. Crack. At night, Kurosawa Hikaru returned home, took out the key and opened the door. However, as the voice-activated light in the entrance came on, something on the ground caught his attention. That's a ticket, a super VIP ticket for a 0-hour piano concert. Is this what Xiaoyuki left behind? It doesn't make sense. Seeing this scene, Kurosawa Hikaru was a little surprised. Because when he gave the ticket to Xiaoyuki, he had already picked up his briefcase and was ready to set off to work part-time. Ms. Runa knew his itinerary, so she made a special drive over to give him the ticket before he set off. Xiaoyuki was around at the time, so he directly gave 6 ordinary tickets and 1 super VIP ticket to Xiaoyuki. Did she go upstairs just to stuff the ticket back? It's impossible. She has the key to my house. In the midst of his thoughts, Kurosawa Hikaru picked up the ticket from the ground, turned around and closed the door. He put on his slippers and walked home while taking out his mobile phone to read messages. He first read Xiaoyuki's message, but after reading it from beginning to end, he gained nothing. The messages Xiaoyuki sent were all about how happy everyone was. They were eating desserts, drinking drinks, and having dinner outside with the 3 hot girls. The 7 of them gathered to play bowling. There was no mention of leaving anything behind. Just when he exited the chat page, a message in the chat list attracted his attention. Ms. Runa, I put the super VIP ticket at your door. Why are you doing this? Finding that she had reserved the ticket, Kurosawa Hikaru responded to the message with some confusion. Ms. Runa, this super VIP ticket is for other girls, right? Ms. Ichinos was next to you at the time, so I couldn't give it to you. After seeing this reply, Kurosawa Hikaru, who walked to the sofa and was about to sit down, froze in place. Those who win the Nai will win the world. Kurosawa Hikaru was shocked and touched when he learned the reason why she did this. You know, Miss Runa was definitely very busy today, but despite her busy schedule, she still noticed such details and covered for him. As a wingman, she was truly unmatched. The first piano performance at 0 hour is at the Tokyo Bunka-Kaikan in Ueno Park, Teidoku, Tokyo. The performance starts at 7:45 p.m. The online live broadcast platform is YouTube. After the decision to broadcast, various platforms competed. However, in terms of financial resources, there is no online video platform in the world that can compete with YouTube. Because Lingxi became famous on YouTube and skyrocketed to the sky, the officials paid special attention to his situation and were not willing to watch him being poached and bound to other platforms. On August 31st, at noon on the day of the premiere, in a restaurant in Shinjuku. Thank you, senior, I'm sorry for the little care. At the dining table, Miki Bayu took the super VIP ticket from him and was extremely happy. He took out 6 10,000 yuan bills from his bag and handed it to him. What did you give me the money for? Kurosawa Hikaru was a little puzzled when he saw her apologizing and giving money. I don't know how to thank you enough. Miki Bayu paused and explained with a guilty conscience. In fact, she knew that 60,000 yuan could not buy a super VIP ticket. But there is no way, she is still in college and retired due to injury, so most of the money is in the hands of her mother. If you kiss me, wouldn't it be more useful than these 60,000 yuan? Realizing that the money she took out was money for the ticket, Kurosawa looked at her weak look, was amused, and joked. Ah! Miki Bayu was stunned when he heard this and looked at him in deep confusion. Kiss or not? Kurosawa put his arms and elbows on the table and looked at her attentively. There are a lot of people watching here. Realizing that he was not joking, Miki Bayu was a little shy. Their combination was so eye-catching. Maybe they sat down in the restaurant and chose a corner seat, but there were still many people looking at them. Forget it. Kurosawa Hikaru thought about it for a while. This kind of thing was not suitable in public, so he gave up the idea. Kiss, I'm kissing. Seeing him change his mind, Miki Bayu thought he was unhappy and said immediately. After saying that, she stood up, bent over and kissed him on the lips. After this kiss, Kurosawa Hikaru looked at the beautiful face so close and was immediately stunned. When he said a kiss, he meant a kiss on the face.